Hello, welcome to Axe to Grind, episode 13. I am one of your hosts. My name is Patrick.
I'm Bob.
I'm Tom.
And today our guests are...
Bryan.
And I'm Isaac.
And these gentlemen are from the band Knocked Loose.
What's up, guys?
Just chilling out.
What's up? How you doing?
A hot button topic on this podcast is your band.
Yeah, there's been some
Sounds
real
great.
life implications from you dudes, so
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah,
I've
let's
heard,
get into
yeah.
it.
we'll dig it. But first, welcome everybody. We're gonna do some quick hits, which we've enjoyed doing. First quick hit is
a somber one.
somber. The bass player of Caleb, tragic, died in a car accident. 39 years old. There's some GoFundMe's out there. All due respect, he's a 39-year-old man with a family.
Look, not to sound totally morbid and weird, upsetting when I heard about it. There's one Caven record that really resonates with me, and I just admire his talent. But then I realized family stuff, and that shouldn't make a difference, but really
It
did.
does.
It really does. So somber quick hit. You got anything to add to this somber one? So for people at home. Typically, we're highly professional, but today Tom and I are sharing a mic, which is going to lead to some comedy.
We should have known this. We knew we had people coming. We could have gotten it. This is us being bad hosts.
Yeah.
All right, and just one final thing on this. On the humanity side, it's just tragic. Whenever anyone's lost, man has a family. Think about going out and supporting that. On an artistic side, we just actually recorded a special episode where we talked on Caven. What's the first record? The big record.
Until your heart stops.
Until your heart stops.
yeah.
Right. You guys fuck with that record?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. What do you guys fuck with Jupiter?
I do.
It's okay. You can say you don't. I don't.
I think
It's
okay.
okay. We
so
can talk about doing.
It's very weird to talk about how much I don't like that record when we're talking.
No, that's fine. You just don't like it. But we're talking on an artistic level. You don't like it. That's fine.
Yeah, I have a friend back at home where that's his favorite record of all time, and we always have the argument of
That's good.
I just prefer the heavier.
I love Jupiter. I love the EP before it. We discussed. So celebrate the artist too when you get a chance, and check out some Caven. If you haven't heard it, I hope there's some young person out there who hasn't heard it. Just because you have a chance to discover something, albeit from kind of a sad point of start. All right.
Some of the scariest mosh parts ever written.
Until your heart.
This is true.
An honestly eye-opening record for metalcore kids. It is a mind-expanding
Even
record.
going back to it now.
Yeah, exactly.
You feel like it hits.
Yeah, 100%. And it's definitely relevant now.
Yeah,
completely.
Like if it came out now, it'd be just as big as when it came out.
Which is a big deal. That was a big record.
You can't say that for a bunch of stuff.
20 years
It's
ago.
a 20-year-old record.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's more, you know what I
Did
mean?
you play with them?
Yeah.
Yeah. What were the shows like? Crazy.
Not that big. We played CBs with them and Converge.
Right.
And they opened with Dazed and Confused for 12 minutes.
I actually love
and I was
that.
like, it's pretty ballsy.
Props to them.
But that was when they didn't play any of the metal stuff. It was
they were going
strictly
Jupiter.
stoner.
Fuck yeah, I love them.
Yeah, it was
All
cool.
right.
Yeah.
So just major respect
Yeah.
to the man, his family,
Yeah, if you can
as
help
an
us family
artist.
out, do it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now to the inane bullshit that we typically deal in. Quick hits. Tom and Patrick, you guys had a night out to the movies.
A little event, yeah. A little date night.
Yeah, we went to see the live in '91, the In Effect hardcore video from the Ritz. It was the Gorilla Biscuit Sick of It All Agnostic Front videotape.
You jumped in the fucking DeLorean back to '91 for the debut, or
It was great. I was sitting next to a buddy of mine, and we were kind of talking shit as you will, and we realized that everyone in the movie was sitting right behind us. So that was cool.
cool. Burn the bridges. Thanks, man.
Love it.
It was really, really fun. I had my father's in the hospital. I was in a mood, and I was thinking about not going, and I went, and I had watched that exact concert footage, that movie.
The video is fantastic.
I had watched it on YouTube a month ago, so I was like, I don't need this. But no, it was totally worth it. It was really fun. You forget how good Agnostic Front was. It was insane.
Literally the best hardcore lineup in a band ever.
Yeah. So what is that?
It's Craig Satari from Sick of It All, Stigma, Matt Henderson, Will Shepler, and Roger.
And that's right.
It was
Matt
his first, and it was Roger's first show out of prison.
Right. So
And he's the hardest dude alive.
Post There's No Justice, It's Just Us benefit show, etc. That video to me was super relevant because there was a tape of it too that circulated back fucking ancient times, and great version of Gorilla Biscuits doing the song "Distance,"
Moondog.
which fucking for the referential. Fun fact: that actually started as a Moondog song, and then Gorilla Biscuits was kind of taking a break, and Gorilla Biscuits took it, and they were going to do it on their next record, which was supposed to be on In Effect.
In Effect,
yeah. And never
and
happened.
then ended up on a Civ record.
Distance?
Yeah,
no, it
almost.
didn't. Oh, as like a hidden track
Yeah,
cover.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. I don't know if I love that recording.
So there was a Q&A afterwards. And,
Who was on the Q&A panel?
Sure. It was Walter Schreifels, Lou Kohler, Vinny Stigma, and
the brother from In Effect, whose name escapes me completely.
Howie Abrams.
Yeah. Okay.
Howie Abrams, yeah.
Uh,
Author, wrote the recent HR book.
right. And also the director, whose also name escapes me. Yeah, okay, that might be right.
New York enough.
So it was, if you were looking for luminaries that have personality, these would be the guys that you would, because they bounce off each other. Walter is nothing like Vinny. You know what I mean?
No.
And it's so, it was so, but these
I think
men.
that dude's originally from Ohio, too, by the way. Funny story.
What part? Do you know?
Yeah.
No.
Walter?
Yeah. Moved to Queens. Like as a teen, moved to Queens or something. Yeah, that's funny stories.
I mean, and the lineups for the bands during the show are super weird.
Because that's Gorilla Biscuits. They're like in white clothes era with
Right.
Porcel's
Walter
in
Schreifels
it.
is
Yep.
playing bass.
Yep. Walter's
Tom
on bass.
it's Tom
Tom
Capone, and Porcel.
And Porcel, yep.
Sammy playing
Porcel
drums.
growing his hair out. Mm-hmm.
Sick of It All is just the brothers and a different bass player, different drummer, which they were kind of.
I'm with the weird lineups. I'm with it at
It
that
was
point.
weird. AF like slaughtered everybody.
Yeah, it was really a bloodbath, and honestly, Gorilla Biscuits really looked deficient in that footage by comparison. You know what I mean? Like there was just. But point is, these gentlemen on the panel together was so. To me, it made my. This was like a Christmas thing. I was in such a bad mood, and listening to these lunatics of varying stripes and degrees was just so fucking interesting to me. And you know, if you imagine asking Walter and Vinny the same straightforward question. The answers you get back.
That's so.
So it's like
way different.
asking your weird uncle who doesn't have kids because he just was too fucked up to do it, and then like, you know, your like hip older cousin who's
Exactly.
just chilling, and it's like, "What's up, man? You hear this new thing that you haven't even heard yet?"
Walter,
We just recently,
let's go.
played with Agnostic Front in Poughkeepsie, New York, and
By choice.
we shit on Poughkeepsie.
we shit on Poughkeepsie,
on this podcast. But
It's a theme. So you play with AF.
yeah, it was like us, AF, Death Before Dishonor. It was a routing show for us. We were on our way to Canada, and they just happened to be there. And by what you all are saying, it was very much apparent when it came to like Vinny and like he's crazy.
I mean, you guys, how old are you?
I'm 24.
And you are?
I'm 20.
He's not quite old enough to be your grandfather, but close.
Almost. He looks.
Yeah,
like
he's
it.
there.
He
He's there.
was bragging because he said he had a birthday coming up. He was bragging about he's in
I
his
can't
60s.
remember how old he was.
60th birthday.
Kudos to him though. Doesn't act like it at all.
no, so
No.
So Walter would respond talking about the majesty of music, and Vinny would just lean in and go, yeah, that's crazy. Hardcore lives, and like,
Yeah.
Like Walter would go on for like 10 minutes about something, and then Vinny'd be like, "Hardcore lives," and the whole crowd would be like, "Yeah."
I thought. I also thought a really interesting thing was there was some saltiness that is 20 years old about the ABC No Rio scene, the McFeeders versus.
Wait, so the Sick of It All dudes were on that, or
No,
who was?
no,
Who was on that?
so-
I want to hear who was on that.
Lou was on the panel.
No, I know.
And
I
someone
mean,
brought
who was
that
on that bullshit is what I'm saying. Who was mad about ABC in 2018?
I mean, Lou kind of was like, well, you know, I read some interview with them, and like the singer from Born Against was like, well, you know, they got to tour Japan, so I guess they won. It was pretty great.
I like that. I think that's not true
No,
bullshit. I
but-
think that's just
No,
taking a piss
well,
out of it.
well, Lou was magnanimous about it, but Howie was less so because.
Howie was the guy who was dealing with Howie had put out the record that
Oh,
started
that's
the whole
right.
beef.
That's right. That's right.
Because they
that's
were
right.
mad that like they cleaned up the lyrics. And this is how inane and ridiculous this is. 25 years ago, this made sense.
Yeah.
Was that they cleaned up the lyric sheet so it could get into Sam Goody.
Yep.
And it was like, how dare you? You're not punk.
Yeah.
And it ends up like them having this like debate on NYU radio.
Yeah. Crucial
And it
chaos.
ends with Pete throwing a chair at them.
If y'all haven't heard that, it's now at this point readily available.
Yeah.
Definitely go find it.
I wouldn't call it a good listen, but it is a
No.
piece of history.
No, yeah. If you want to dig in on that, yeah.
I really love this panel. I found the audience a touch discouraging. Everybody enjoyed themselves. It was cool. Everything about it was fun and cool. But I was the youngest dude in the room, and
They wouldn't let me in. My card wasn't. I just am 36, so fuck me.
So that was a touch discouraging, just because I would have liked to have seen some young people at the thing, because it was I mean, just look. If they could have been ravers talk about raving, but it was just interesting.
That's
You know what I mean?
my axe to grind shirt is ravers talking about raving.
Ravers gonna rave.
If anybody hasn't seen that footage, it is readily available on YouTube. I think VHS might be actually back in production or something. Like I thought I saw.
Oh,
a
they're
new
making
copy.
some. Maybe they had some dead stock. They made a lot of those
Okay.
actually, way back.
So
They're trying to reissue it,
Really?
but there's problems with the rights to everything because some major
Yeah.
label bought Relativity
That's
and all
right.
this sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like, but they have like literally every band, their full shows. They have
Everything, yeah.
more interviews and all that sort of stuff.
The
that they
audio
can't
on
use.
that, even for people who don't fuck with
Yeah.
live stuff, the audio on that's really good.
It's awesome.
All right,
What's next on the?
Yeah. All right, next is.
your trip to Indianapolis.
So I just flew back from Indianapolis. Just got back in from JFK. Thanks, Tom. Voices in the background. Indianapolis was fucking whack. You guys are Midwesterners, Midwest
yes, we're
blood.
very close.
All right, so let's do this. So since where are you from?
We're from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Okay,
We kind of rep Oldham County. It's right outside
just
of Louisville.
north of Louisville.
Yeah, and
North and
kind of
east.
started as a
Yeah.
joke, and now we're just seeing how far we can take the Oldham thing. We just plastered all over our merch.
Okay.
But yeah, Louisville, Kentucky. We're about 2 hours from Indianapolis, so we definitely feel your pain.
Yeah, it was not great. So Louisville.
I mean,
what?
Okay, so Louisville is okay.
Yeah.
Louisville is how Louisville people say it.
I love how it rolls.
As long as you don't
molasses
say,
coming out of his mouth.
as long as you don't say Louisville.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You're
some whack. That's
fine.
some.
Yeah, yeah.
fucking-
But I don't usually hear people say that because honestly, if you're saying that, like
You're from way out of town.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we've just always said Louisville.
Okay, I like that. All right, so
Yeah.
that's okay. Tell me one good thing about Louisville that you guys fuck with. Like, what's the best part about it? And what's
Fried
the worst
chicken.
part about it? I walked across that fucking bridge to Indiana, I guess.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken's
I
good
do
there.
enjoy
Okay.
fried
And not because of KFC.
Oh
Everybody
yeah, right.
always
The
says that.
fucking
Yeah, yeah.
what's the arena downtown?
The Yum Center.
Yeah.
The Yum
Yeah,
Center
Yeah.
with the big
Says
with
a
the fucking
real
kernel.
big on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cultural utopia,
Just
folks.
Southern food.
Southern food is
Yeah.
good. What's the big hotel? Brown Hotel or something?
Galt House.
Is that one? Yeah, I don't know. I ate some food
Oh,
there.
Hot Brown?
Yeah.
You're talking-
I ate a hot brown.
No,
So can you tell
no,
what a
that's
hot
the
brown
There you
dish.
go.
That's not the hotel. That's a dish that was created in Kentucky. Hot brown is
Hot
an
brown hotel,
open
dude.
face sandwich, where it's like 2 pieces of Texas toast with turkey, ham, gravy. There's it's like a cheese
And
gravy.
melted cheese or something? I don't
Yeah,
remember
and
yet.
then more
Oh, wow.
cheese on top. And it's very, very good. It's very big. Me and our drummer used to wait tables at like a restaurant that served a hot brown, and we also had a half brown because of how big it was. I mean,
If
like,
you couldn't handle that hot brown, you get that
Yeah.
half brown. All right, so here's the thing. Since smoked skyline chili,
Oh, yeah.
we talk
Yeah.
Midwest food.
I lived in
Here.
Cincinnati for a while
Fuck.
because my girlfriend went to UC. So
University of Cincinnati.
yeah, we
Go
had
Bearcats.
we had a place up there. Not a fan of Skyline.
Yeah.
They have Gold Star, which I think is better than Skyline.
Is that
It's a
chili?
chili place.
Is it the same kind of chili?
Yeah, same
Oh,
thing.
bummer.
But neither of them are really good.
Thank you. Okay, so the food is good. What is bad about Louisville, Kentucky, or Oldham County? Since we want to pump on that,
Oldham County is just nothing.
it's
It's
just
like-
perfect.
there's
It's just
nothing
heaven
there.
on earth.
No, it's just
continue to
suburbs.
rep
Like,
the most bullshit place you can.
yeah.
Me and all my friends rep this town called Brick, New Jersey, and I think it shows
At least
up
it
on
has
Google
a hard
Maps.
name.
I think it shows up
That's-
on Google Maps because of us. So,
Yeah.
so keep going with Oldham
it's
County.
the most beautiful place in the world.
Yeah.
Schools are perfect.
You got it. You got it. All right. What's the bad shit about where you're from?
Louisville, Construction.
Construction's
I think you
awful.
could say that about everywhere, but I think Louisville's been under
Do
construction.
you guys
for
have
like
a
10
bridge
years.
fall apart a few years ago or some shit?
We just
no,
had a
we
new
just
bridge.
make new ones,
Yeah.
and then because we make the new ones, there has to be roads to get to them, and that means that Louisville is eternally in a standstill.
You ever been to the what's it? The fucking horse race place?
Yeah.
Churchill
Churchill Downs.
Churchill Downs.
Downs.
You've
Yeah,
been there.
Kentucky
yeah.
Downs.
I've been there. It
Not-
was all right, I guess.
Not for like the actual derby.
You guys got
because-
weird hats you wear sometimes. Like,
No, not me. Not me.
Oh, do they do that?
they
then?
do it. Yo,
Yeah,
it's on
yeah.
some real shit.
Churchill Downs, like women wearing like the big.
The Southern
I
Belle
thought. I
hats.
honestly. I thought that was what's I thought that was a Saratoga thing, but is that just a horse racing?
Dude, it's a
culture
horse
thing?
racing thing, and Saratoga is the fucking single A affiliate of Churchill Downs.
Okay, all right.
It's real shit, yo. And I got love for Saratoga. No, it's no Poughkeepsie, but you know.
I went there once, and it was a whole world that I felt very uncomfortable in.
Were
I
you-
didn't
Did you have
go-
to get dressed up, or were you? Was it like
no,
on the
it
down
was
and
weird
dirty?
because I didn't get dressed up, and I looked at everyone around me.
See,
and went,
yeah,
oh,
that's what I'm
man.
saying.
Yeah, but that's on special days because as the son of a degenerate gambler, I know that like,
Dude, I don't
these,
know.
these places. You can show up with a rope belt,
Dude,
You know
we
what I
are
mean?
talking about the fucking what's the spots where you go gamble on horses that are just
OTB.
TVs? OTBs.
Yeah. That's that. Trust me, I was raised in one. It's
Yeah,
the
I know. I used to go to the OTB down the road in Albany.
It's a terribly discouraging place.
know what an OTB is?
OTB
No, I
off-track
don't.
betting. It's like
Oh.
literally
Literally
Sure.
watch races that already happened.
It's no. That's
no.
live.
How does
It's
that
telecast.
Oh, so
It's-
it's live.
It's
You
like
watch it on
imagine
TV.
a shitty bowling alley from the 80s, but no bowling lanes and people smoking indoors. That's OTB.
I'm
That
sure
sounds
I'm sure my
It's
dad
fucking
knows
awful.
about it.
Yeah,
sounds awful.
it's for men who can't go home.
If your dad had any sort of like dirt on his hand job or like some shit he didn't like, bad sales,
I
he
gotta-
knows an OTB
Yeah.
or
I gotta go to
equivalent.
this.
But
Fake
my dad
bowling
loves
alley.
gambling, so
Okay, well there we go. Let's talk about the Midwest because
Yeah, we're there. Was there any other quick hits? No, I think that was. Oh no, we.
New music that we
we-
liked.
Let's do new music, then we'll hit into the Midwest because
Okay.
we in there. The one thing that everyone's talking about, and my man said it, day by day, new record,
yes.
South Florida.
South Florida. Talk about it, guys. What do you think? You listen to it yet?
It's very
ignorant.
hard to not notice day by day, like if you have like social media at all, because like everybody's posting about them. So
We
like
be
yeah,
pumping that.
the new day by day is very good.
Yeah, it's ignorant.
Yeah.
It's heavy. It's very. I mean, it's cool to hear. It's like way better engineered than the like two
The
EPs
earlier
that
stuff.
they had.
Yeah, I
So
think that
that's really
too.
sick.
And I only listened to like one song, and I immediately was like, "Oh, okay, they stepped up here." I'm really
Yeah.
excited. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but I'm excited.
I want to see them, but I feel like I'm not going to get to unless I drive for it. I don't think they'll ever
You
come
don't
to
think they'll come
Kentucky.
to the Midwest?
No,
Alright.
Kentucky gets skipped a whole lot. We're
Okay.
we're kind of used to driving though.
Let's put a pin on that.
Yeah.
Day by day.
Yeah, I checked it out. Sounds good. That surprised like they Beyonce'd that and just put it out. Like it wasn't promoted.
I didn't.
It was literally
I
like
like the
and
That's
it's
something
out.
I noticed too because I was expecting to see like. you
Like a
know,
build-up,
fucking
right?
flyers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
coming out on. Did it come
86
out on
records.
anything?
It's
I
86,
thought it
which
would-
is their label.
I thought it would come out on like Plead Your Case or
Yeah.
something.
Well, so
like
it's
that.
like it's there's
like
three South Florida labels: Pleader Cases,
Yeah.
Lennon, and maybe one other dude.
Yeah.
I believe 86 is a guy, at least one dude, maybe multiple dudes from Day by Day, and then IOU Records, which is a little smaller, but they do a lot of stuff too.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it made sense because I think 86 has done all the Day by Day stuff so far. I'm
Yeah,
excited to
just
see
like-
it. But yeah,
just
yo,
out.
that's right. I
I
thought
was like, I
that's
checked Twitter and it was like, "There's a new Day by Day LP." I was like, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
I didn't even know when it came out because
It's like Drake.
Yeah, Drake. Day by Day is like Drake.
You heard it first.
Yeah.
You listened to it yet, Pat? Because you were vibing last time when we introduced you to Mordor.
I haven't. So I don't check my Twitter timeline anymore.
Yeah,
you-
you got to
then
tell
you
me how
wouldn't
to
know
do
about
that.
it.
You got to tell me how to do that.
I'm like so much
I love
mentally
it.
better.
Yeah.
I'm like living my best life.
I know.
I
you
just-
say you still saying all the dumb shit, but like you are not getting that bounce back. It's
I
nice.
strictly use Twitter for jokes. Like that's I like.
We talking about that. We'll get on that.
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
minute.
Well, the problem with me is if I have access to a timeline where I see people getting heavy about shit, then I get heavy too.
Yeah.
But not on the same shit. I get heavy on like the "I hate you for getting heavy," which is like a very bitter sounding vibe that people hate. So like
So just don't
It-
don't
well,
check Twitter.
I should. Yeah. Right. Well, that for me, the solution is to not look at the timeline, but to just fire off these incredibly. Like I actually have I have it so I can't see my timeline.
So how did you set that up? Is it just a
I'll show
desktop?
you
Okay,
afterwards.
we'll do this.
But I can't see my timeline, so I'm literally Kanye West in a void now, where it's just like I fire things off and I feel like people should respond to me, but I don't validate them by looking at their shit.
Do you respond to them if they respond to you?
Yes.
okay.
Oh,
Well,
so that'd
God,
be even
yeah.
harder.
Oh, my God. Yes, he does.
But typically with a quote tweet that is for the benefit of everybody. Like,
okay,
you know, like I'm trying. I'm an educator, if nothing
He
else.
wants the conversation still, which is, yeah. He wants to educate.
Did you do the whole like mysterious delete every single tweet prior, like
No,
unfollow everybody?
Okay, so I've got some. It's funny. I've been debating taking on like a funny WWE sort of thing for a second.
You got to. That's got to be your alt. You got to set that alt up.
Well, what I was thinking is, so is everybody familiar with Kane, the wrestler?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I can't believe how much you've gotten into wrestling in your late 30s.
I don't know. I don't know anything about wrestling except the Kane gimmick.
Everybody's name.
The Kane gimmick to me is the
And
funniest
Kane
thing.
versus corporate Kane.
Corporate Kane. I love corporate. I think corporate Kane is the funniest fucking thing. So I was thinking about going corporate self-defense, deleting all of our old tweets, which are totally incriminating, and then and then like, because look, this year could be big for self-defense. We'll see, but like there's some announcements and shit, and like it's going to be a moment where somebody like is like, what about this thing? You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to be like, I'm sorry, we're corporate now.
Hey, Tom. Quick, Tom.
Yes.
Isn't corporate self-defense just Andrew?
Pretty much, he looks it. He's got a beard.
He's
Wears-
corporate as
He wears
fuck.
shirts with
yeah, you
collars.
I know where you're
the
going.
roasting is
so
awesome.
so Patrick has a goatee right now. It looks good. You actually. It
I mean,
works
it's like
with
a
your,
scumbag.
No, it
if we're
works with
being
your
honest.
facial structure really well. So you're
I'd
good
say
with
it
that?
works.
You
He
like
ga-
it?
he gave me a
Let's
speech
do a
about it
survey.
earlier.
Everybody can raise their hand. You don't get to talk, guests, but raise your hand. Raise your hand. Pat, close your eyes. Thank you. Does it look good? Raise your hand. Wow, 6 out of 6. You got a
Good for you.
You see my reluctance? I could have been peer pressured either way, but
My girl is telling me I'm definitely getting left, and if this,
yeah, you can't. Here's the thing: as a single dude, you look good. You got that partner. She's the boss of your facial hair.
I've
homie.
been making the jokes that I have this like this to keep people at bay. You know what I mean? Like I'm a desirable person. I gotta put up the spikes. I gotta put up the defenses.
So what we said doesn't matter, dude.
Well,
Cool. Can't even take our
Look,
compliments.
he just met
We raised
you.
our hands.
He's trying to you know what I mean? All right, so wait, you're clean shaven.
Yeah, I can't grow a beard. I'm
Yeah,
actually not
don't
clean
try.
shaven.
I see you got a little bit here. I see you got a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't let that get too hard. I know people who got the dirt stash thing going. Don't do
Dude,
it.
my whole life
Don't.
I've
It's
wanted
bad.
a beard.
I know you do. Once you can have it, you don't want it. Don't worry
no,
about it.
yeah. I wish I could be you because I'm in that in between stage where I can only grow the worst possible beard.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
only grow right here on the sides and then a little patch on my neck.
Maybe you got it worse than
I
mine.
get
That's fine.
patch is
nothing
bad.
over here.
The patch is bad.
How about you? You got a little facial hair
I can.
going.
He
Yeah,
used
you
to
can
have
grow.
he used to have an actual
right.
like.
I started
big
going
beard.
to the barber recently.
Oh,
So
Respect.
you're
So I
bearding
can-
seriously. All right.
Yeah.
They've been on tour for how long now? Like a month and a half?
month,
yeah.
No, but you guys
That
are
is
looking nice.
35
I like
That's
the
a
way you're
tight
looking.
beard
Yeah,
for
I
a
know.
dude
You're,
that's been away
you're
from
looking
home for a
good.
while.
Keep it up. I
I
keep it
respect
up.
that.
So here's the move. Since you got kind of a chin strap thing going.
Yeah.
All right, and we got one
Throwback,
guest
by
who I
the
think's
way.
fucked
Yeah.
with a chin strap.
Good.
You fucked with a chin strap? You can nod. Yeah, he probably has.
Just because he's from Long Island, it doesn't mean he had to have a
no,
chin
he
strap.
has. I fucked with a chin strap for a little bit when I was a senior in high school. It did me no love. But you got it with the goatee. It's working.
Thank you.
And you got a
Don't lose the
mustache.
goatee. The goatee
Absolutely
and
not.
mustache, this
works.
is one. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
you can ask
you
him.
can't go single chin strap.
I've also been through so many facial hair phases. At
Oh,
one
he-
point, I did an Amish thing.
Yeah, where he had no
That's not-
mustache but just a really long
one
beard.
point I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we talk beards all the time. Tom, you pull off a beard fantastically.
Thank you very much. I do it.
There was a
My face is
time
fat.
period where
No,
our
it's
band.
nice.
That's
good.
There was a time period where every single member of our band had a full blown beard
Except
except
you.
for me. And we also all
It
had
was them.
really
was
long
it them
hair at one
fucking with
point.
you a little bit, like.
No, but then
No, you're just happy.
to fuck with me when we did Warped Tour, they all shaved everything except for their mustache, and
we
they
had
all
fun.
looked
Have fun.
very
That's
Yeah,
the
creepy.
Warped Tour was a blast.
Yeah, you do that.
They all looked really creepy.
Yeah.
We can talk Warped Tour in a second, but let's
Yeah.
get
Did
these
the quick hits. So day by day, everybody check it out. Pat, expect feelings on it next time. Anything you guys like them? You want to see them in the Midwest?
Yeah.
I would love to.
Would they kill it in Louisville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
They'd
cool.
be awesome.
All right,
They'd play Spinelli's.
But
and
it's
people would kill
but
each
it's
other.
smaller. Like I know that
That's
we
fine.
we don't have to like dive into Louisville right now, but like
We gotta
all
talk
we
about
have
it.
is a pizza place for hardcore shows. It's like a 90 cap room, and although like I'm sure like a lot of touring musicians look at Louisville as like a routing date, the kids that come care a lot, so it's always like really good shows. I
Well,
think
It
that they
means
would
a
go
lot.
over
Louisville's
super
got a long history. We'll talk on that in a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah, you also went through a very wild transition from one type of love
Yes.
for music to another. We'll get
We
into
got to
it.
get into. We're gonna go deep on Kentucky. All right, other new music, quick hits. Let's start with Tom.
World Demise.
Oh
Greg
yeah,
Mongo
Give
is
us a
doing
break.
it.
Oh, I haven't
So it's
listened to that yet.
Jeremy and Paul and some dude with a wallet chain and and Greg from Mongoloids. It's really good.
call me
2-song
out.
EP.
Greg from Cranberry, New Jersey.
Is he from Cranberry?
Yeah.
Greg from
I
Greg's
listened
from
to it.
Cranberry. It's
What'd you
hard.
think?
They're yeah.
Sick.
It was amazing.
It's amazing.
Great. Yeah, it was great.
What do
It's
you
a
tell me
dr-
about it? Sell me on it. I haven't
It was,
heard it.
it was. I mean, it was.
It's the
hardcore
drummer of
mosh
Suburban
part.
Scum, right?
Uh-huh.
I think that I'll like anything that he's drumming for.
Yeah.
You like his drums a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's an amazing drummer. I haven't listened to this band yet. I did see it, but I haven't
You heard
listened to
it.
it yet. But he's
Yeah,
liked
great.
it.
crazy breakdowns at the end of every song. It's just 2 songs. It's awesome. Here you go.
I would have liked some more straight Mongo. Not musically, but I think if Greg is doing like a straightforward thing here that I think is probably less make funnable.
Technically much more proficient. I see you talking. Technically much more proficient, but if I'm getting Greg Mongo,
We
I want
want the Mongo.
I have arrived, that kind of shit, like the whole thing, you know.
Yeah, give me a full Mongo.
Yeah.
Go full Mongo.
And I'll say because I did listen to it.
Do you think,
I was lying to you.
people are going to be bummed? A bunch of people are going to be bummed?
No.
No.
I think most people will be like, "Oh, this is good." Like his vocals are very strong.
I just see people beating the shit out of each other.
You think?
Yeah.
It's
when
gonna
I see
be.
it, so
Yeah. This is hardcore gonna be the first show. I'm not sure.
I think so.
I think so too. Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. I think.
Smart move. Good move.
There's different sides of that. Maybe, but we want some more. We want some more ridiculous. I see you, Greg, because I heard your lyrical content. He's got some themes playing out for Mongos, which is cool. So World Demise. There we go. Other new shit. You guys.
True Love.
True Love new record.
True Love. They had a song on the America's Hardcore compilation that had a weird breakdown at the end. Mm-hmm. If you guys remember, it was like a carry-on thing, and then at the end went gung, gung, gung.
Oh, we
was like,
remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the new record, listening to that song, when you hear that song, you're just like, oh, I heard Old True Love. That's weird. And then you listen to the new record, and you're like, oh, the whole thing got harder. Okay. So it makes a lot.
So it's
more
like that's a
sense.
transition song, which is
That
kind
was
of a cool
transition
vibe.
song.
That's a
I still think that breakdown is weird to put in that song, but I love the record. I listened to the whole thing yesterday.
I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm gonna be that guy and say that the album art is perfect.
Oh, you're that. Okay, so
I
have you
love
heard?
that
Us,
song.
have you heard us go in on this?
Yeah.
No,
Because we've.
I don't know. Is that aired? Yeah, it's aired.
Oh, okay. So
No, it aired.
So we went in on this lately on a podcast saying that album art was a total stinker for us.
Oh, I
So-
love it.
Okay, so this is why young people rule. Tell me,
love you, yeah.
tell me why that resonates with
There's
you.
also like there's a front end, like I was about to say there's a front and a back, but like but it's cool because
True.
what I meant was that the back looks so good, like you're missing
It fits
out if
with
you
it.
don't see them.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I'm in no way like throwing shade, but a lot of those bands are very predictable artistically.
Mm-hmm.
When you say those bands,
Like just like the True Love, Freedom, like the
Michigan.
not Michigan, but like the more like
Within the
Short
spectrum of
for-
straightforward.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
and I like all that shit. Like visually, like I like the Freedom cover that looks
Sure.
like a Madball record, but like it was just a very unexpected twist. It looks like a country record that like my grandma would have. Like it's very like old style. I really like the vibe of having the song names on the front.
Yeah, I actually that's the thing that I enjoy too.
There's
No,
this
and
band Oathbreaker on Death Wish.
Yep.
And they
Bob's
did
a
the
fan.
same thing with
Big
their
fan.
first album, Arrow
Yep,
Santos.
that's right.
They have like all the song names on the front, and I saw that and I was like, okay, I love that. Like
Do you like that last Oathbreaker record?
I did, but it didn't like it
stick
wasn't
with you?
as memorable as Arrow Santos in my opinion.
I disagree,
Yeah.
but we'll talk on that off air.
I think it's cool. I think it's like if you it to me it kind of looks like a metalcore.
Yes,
record.
that's what it looks like to me.
But at the same time, I think it's cool that with the sound change, they were like, "Hey, check it out!" Because their last album artwork, I don't know if you guys saw, it was just like It was like a girl in bed with, and then it just said
Yeah.
True Love on it, and it was like super like artsy. And then this one is just like, hey, everything's completely different now, and I
Yeah.
think that's cool to like.
Rebrand
No,
yourself.
it makes sense. It
Yeah.
totally makes sense.
No, and I
Yeah,
thought
'cause-
what your comment was and what your comment was
Yeah.
are dead on, because those metalcore records were going for the look of those old country records, old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it is leaning into a space that is I don't enjoy, but I enjoy that a band that doesn't sound like that is doing it.
Yeah.
I think that's funny and interesting, but visually it's like it's garb.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but the a thing about the band that is interesting is that we've heard band guys say this is going to be our hardest record yet, and it's never fucking true. But for them, it is true. This is a hard record.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
fast and it's got hard ass parts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. True Love. Anything else we want to talk on here?
I'm going to talk on this Wince single. So let me paint a picture for everybody. Fell to Low, The Sheds, Nails, and Self Defense Family. This was a show that took place at the Cobalt Cafe in like 2000.
One of these things is not like the other.
No, but the Cobalt Cafe added into this. That's like describe it, please.
No, that's like
San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, L.A. perimeter. It is. That was okay. Shout out to Todd Jones and the dudes in Nails, who have been really. They were supporters of what I've done in music for way early.
Even
And-
when they didn't like your music, they supported
correct
your music.
correct,
Yes.
and so
And shout out to John Gianelli, John Glue,
Yep.
member of Nails, who liked your music and supported your music.
that's true. Who I think is also the no disrespect to all y'all out there, the most dynamic bassist that you will see perform.
My homie for life.
Yeah. So, at any rate, a total weird show. The Sheds, for people that don't know Fell to Low, it's unfortunate. That's a band that everybody should enjoy. It's really smart, guitar-y, hardcore adjacent stuff. The Sheds were a ska punk band by 15-year-olds that then then got signed to Media Scare later.
Wow.
Were they from the Valley?
They're LA dudes. They're LA
Okay, so
area dudes.
Pat's doing y'all a disservice. The Cobalt Cafe is in the San Fernando Valley, and it is the beatdown venue du jour for basically from any time prior to 2010. Maybe it still is.
I don't think it is anymore, but yes.
But it was
for a decade. Yes.
dark, and it's the place where you walk in at 3 p.m. and it's pitch black, and that's just the way you live. And so this show, everything Pat's describing, is both foreign and familiar.
Yeah, and it was an utterly terrible show because at that time, and arguably still, self-defense can't draw. So it was like, and Nails had just started, so it was like, it was really a bad show. But the Sheds made an impression on me because they were little kids, like honestly little kids. And there's these dudes, the Miller brothers, that have now they're like longtime merch guys and tour managers, etc. And just to me, a very sweet LA institution. When I see them, I'm happy. They're just goofy dudes that love music and are actual students of the art of a type of music that I fucking hate.
Ska punk?
Fat Records.
Oh.
So I have no everybody I know has some affinity for NoFX. That's what got them into punk.
I do
whatever.
fuck with NoFX.
I would shit on his head if I could. I fuck all that shit. I hate that shit.
Fat Mike?
Fat Mike. Although actually, when he made people drink his piss and everybody was really mad, I was like, yo, this is the funniest thing this dude's ever done.
Pat's ultimate contrarian move will be he'll meet Fat Mike and be very good friends with him and be like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah. Girl church will come out on Fat Records.
So
Oh, that's. Keep that quiet.
I mean, he can give us money. I just don't like his music. Anyway,
That's the self-defense move that he ain't talking about. Is Fat
that's
Records.
the announcement.
No effects split coming in August, so just keep your eyes
I mean,
out.
I'll take the money. But the point is that the brothers now have a new band called Wince, which is that sort of propaganda. What's that? What's the other shit like? Not pulley, but like whatever that shit. Lagwagon.
Lagwagon,
like,
yeah.
like all the shit that where they're playing punk music, but they can play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate it, and I hate that. But Mac Miller sent me, not the rapper, sent me this. I ate next to him at Whole Foods with Ariana Grande, who was very beautiful, and he looks like such a. He looks like he looks like. Yeah, this is what you. This is what you guys are missing.
Whole Foods, yeah, you gotta start hanging out at Whole Foods cafeteria.
He talked to us about Whole Foods before we
Look,
started.
recurring themes.
If you want Ariana Grande to make eye contact with you, and you can talk to her about a dog for a second, and
she commented
and be
on
respectful and not be on
She
some
complimented your goatee.
No, I wasn't.
Free goatee.
Yeah. Here's what's crazy. I was gawking at her, but not because I knew who she was.
Because you didn't know who she was.
She is fucking radiant in person. And Mac Miller, and the reason I was gawking is because she was with a guy who looks like he rides low tier what those motorcycles that go brap.
Mopeds?
No.
Dirt mini bikes?
Like
dirt bikes.
Motor.
Yeah, the little ones.
Motocross. He looks like a motocross guy. He looks like a broke 5'4" motocross guy.
Yeah,
and
fuck you, Miller.
So, I mean, God bless him. But anyway, point is, go to Whole Foods. Point is,
sponsored by
Mac Miller, not that one, who is in this band, sent me this knowing I would hate it, and this is me giving it an honest review. I hate it. But if you like that type of if you like that type of music, this Wince single I think is probably the next gen of that type of music. Which,
so for fans of Propaganda,
if you like Propaganda,
you guys
and
fuck
you
with
like
anything
to shred,
like that?
No.
Oh, see, the one Propaganda record I actually really enjoy. The one everybody enjoys.
I see a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
Never listen. To
Oh no, there's that one record that's good.
Tell them the entry point. Do you fuck with Propaganda, Tom?
Some of it, yeah.
Okay, what's the record? If you were gonna tell these dudes to listen to one of their records, get the title.
Okay, so their early stuff is goofy, and I like it for like the fuck.
There was a song called like Ska Sucks.
Like Haile Selassie, fuck
Is
religion.
it ska?
Bag up your ass or
Did
something.
it get super?
It's ska
Did it get
adjacent.
like super political?
They were super political the whole time.
Yeah, they were
because
super
that's
political,
the
but then
type
they became
of people
smart.
that I see listening to.
Correct.
It.
Yeah.
So they started goofy political. It's the good one that everybody agrees on is Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. It is a honest. If you
They're like really technical punk.
if you like guitar music and are just like can appreciate it, even if you don't like it, that's fucking hot record. Everybody, this Wince record is kind of the soft version of that, and I think that the band is going to do well in that scene.
Interesting.
And for somebody to send me something that they know I'll hate, I appreciate it.
Does that scene still exist?
Does it?
I have no idea. I have no clue.
Yeah, these dudes on my team. Was that still shit?
Because everyone that I know that would listen to like Propaganda is the type of person that would be like, yeah, I'll go to a show once every 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually what it is. I think that that's
They're like Rock on the Range.
It's like
people.
Rock on the Range.
right, Rock on the Range, punk rock bowling, right, that kind of shit. Right?
Exactly right. But here's what's crazy is that is a scene.
I know, and it's a scene of 30-year-olds.
Yeah, correct. But
so this band needs to play Rock on the Range.
this band would be
Wins
perfect.
Rock on the
this
Range.
band would
Let's set that off.
This band would actually be perfect for punk rock bowling.
Okay. All right.
Well, you got an in. You got a plug? Hook it up.
I
I
do.
think we got plugs for that too.
I've played it a few times and
Are they
and love it.
I've gone to it a few times.
Are they big
know
in
that.
Europe?
Who? Propaganda.
Propaganda?
Propaganda is low key big everywhere.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Is
See, I just have no idea. But
so they had a
sound like they'd
moment,
be big in Europe.
15-ish years ago, where they were doing probably rooms bigger than the ones you guys do,
Yes.
and filling them every night. Like
Yeah.
they were selling out to Palladium, no problem. At all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So there was a moment like them and Anti-Flag. There was like a
And then
a thing.
following in their fucking footsteps is Dillinger 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Similar world, slightly more credible, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. Okay, Bob, what you got?
Music. I actually listened to some shit that I really liked. Let me pull it up real quick. Tom, you got anything right now while I'm pulling this up?
Well, I'll go off
Yeah,
on
you
my
go.
other thing.
Yeah, doing your other
I
thing.
fell down a hole that I've been listening to Italian hardcore for reasons that are totally mysterious to me.
What, like Indigesti,
Exactly,
the Wretched?
exactly.
Wretched? Do you like Wretched? That shit's fucking so good.
I haven't done Wretched. I did.
Oh, you gotta get on that.
Indigesti, Declino,
Declino's great.
and
This is for you motherfuckers who try to throw us that we don't listen to international hardcore. Get out of here.
well,
What do you guys listen to in the van? Like, what's the go-to? It's an overnight drive.
We have no radio.
We have no radio.
respect.
Everybody got
Put
headphones?
it, yes.
Headphones.
Yeah,
headphones.
So like our old
Good
van,
idea.
this is the van that we have right now. We own, and it's the second van that we've owned. The first one, it was like early in our touring. I don't know how it happened, but I went to turn up the radio, and the entire thing just fell out.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, well, that costs money, so we're never fixing it. So we haven't had radio for years, and we headphones.
So we're listening to whatever we're listening.
That's very
Yeah.
thrifty of you.
We did-
Like
Respect.
that, yeah.
Even when we had our radio, we just listened to pop radio because we didn't want to buy an aux cord.
Yeah.
I don't want to do your accounting for you, but you can afford one.
Yeah.
Yo, I think Pat's got someone.
It wasn't
behind
that. It
peanut
was
butter.
going to the store and just like,
Yeah,
you know.
I'm
Are you
also-
guys on some anti-consumerist shit?
I'm
or
also a
something?
Yeah.
fan of pop radio. If it's like a really sad song,
He likes that "Take Me to Church" song.
yeah, like
Oh, that's
all those
Yeah.
all those
Take
songs
me
on the
to-
radio that are like girls being really really sad, but it's hidden underneath like electronic music. I'm like a sucker for that shit.
No shit. Does it,
That's the genre that they have at the store. Girls singing underneath hidden electronic
yeah.
music.
actually, let me. This,
Sad girls.
Yeah.
The genre.
this might be a thing that you're all plugged into. Has everybody given that Nicole Dollanganger?
I have given that a hard listen
Okay, so
to decipher lyrics and such.
Tom and I were at a show where she performed, but we were bullshitting with amongst ourselves and didn't actually get to check it out. I just checked her out, and this is a weird world that I don't understand.
You're heavy on the Central Canada stuff here with Propaganda
I-
and now Nicole Dollanganger.
Look, I respect this person, really love her voice. Also, like seemingly how incredibly DIY the whole affair is, but
Quite.
But I have to confess that, like covering My Chemical Romance, I don't care if you're 15. That's inexcusable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so like it's an.
Wait, hold on.
I don't even know what this is.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an artist who has a couple records out on Run for Cover. The backstory, the quickest version is she lived either in far west Ontario or one of the central states of Canada.
Yeah.
Isolated, like oh, there's
Timmins.
200.
Yeah. Timmins.
Right there you go.
Yellow
200 people.
Thunder Bay.
Right, yeah, like out there, like oh, my town isn't 1,000, it's 500, and started recording all these songs in her
And it's
bedroom.
It's supposed to sound like
It's
that?
it's like
No,
really
not at all.
light poppy.
It's okay. So it's
The girl's voice is very like whispery, but she's singing about like
self-harm.
I want to drown in a lake of cum.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really graphic
Oh.
lyrics
Whoa.
that are
Wow.
so surprising, even just reading them, and then you hear her sing them, and it's like, whoa, how okay.
So I really like her voice, and I checked it out because I'm reading a bio, and it's like talking about her song subject matter, and I'm like, I'm resentful because I'm like, oh, is this the only person allowed to be edgy? I try to be edgy, and I get fucking murdered
fucks
every
you
time.
up, man.
She fucks me up because she gets to do what she wants to do. So she's drowning in cum. Me, I can't drown in cum. So like,
So let me elaborate. Are all of the songs?
they're not about. They're not. No.
No.
Or yeah,
Every song? That's a weird theme.
Is it just come?
That's quite a
down?
theme. No, but the songs are dark. The songs are like dark, sort of self-harmy, referencing songs, right? And
Self-harmy.
and
Welcome to the self-harmy.
Yeah.
and not every. I think that you guys probably know this. I don't know what something that I find frustrating. Sorry,
Go ahead.
is how limited genres are in terms of topics that they can address. Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I find it so goddamn irritating.
Yeah.
And so I'm always checking out artists that are able to, because there's not that level of expectation that the genre confines don't apply to them.
Yeah.
And genre confines really do not apply to this
No,
woman.
she's
I
done
wrote-
well, and she's toured with everyone.
right.
I wrote about that on our record, our full length. That's why it's called Laugh Tracks. It's like very much like you listen to like the kind of music that we play, and you expect it to just be like meathead, like I just want people to like fuck each other up, but like my lyrics are like real sad. So
Yeah.
like,
All right, here, speaking of lyrics.
100% understand what you're saying.
I'd like you to read the lyrics to this Nicole Dollanganger song. Are you comfortable with
You
that?
want me to?
Yeah.
I can do that.
It's called Sweet Girl. Go ahead and you can read the
Sweet
first
Girl?
part.
You taste like sweet apple pie with whipped cream on the side. Your cum is like warm milk. Your red cheeks are soft as silk. You taste like raisins in the pudding. Sweet, soft bugs I'm chewing.
Oh,
Stuck between my teeth, curling the toes on my feet. You're so sweet.
And
Honestly,
so like
that's
we're
a lot nicer than I thought.
no,
it was
there's some
gonna
more.
be.
There's more graphic stuff, but like, let's be clear. Let me be really clear. We're not taking a piss at this girl.
No, I'm
She's an
fucking-
amazing.
yeah,
I think
ultimate
that's really well
respect.
done. But
Yeah.
like, when you hear it,
I
and that's
thought-
good, right?
I thought what you meant was like, oh,
I thought it
your
was
cum
all
tastes
shock
great.
value.
I want to fuck.
Oh,
the
like
shit out
like
of
it's some
you.
like ICP level, like just
Yeah,
like real
that's what I
heavy shit.
thought
No,
you
no,
were
no,
going
no,
for.
no. And she's like talented artist. I actually think her lyrical content is like well played. Her
Oh, yeah,
wordplay's
that was
amazing.
so here's the thing. I fuck with it heavy. I like it, whatever. But the only part that alienates me as like the thing that's
is the chewing cum part.
no, that part's that
He's
part-
with it.
Yeah, I signed
Yeah,
you
we
up.
all good.
The part that is perhaps distancing for me is that she wears her influences on her sleeve. Not that she sounds like these artists, but she'll cover things like My Chemical Romance. And to me, snob, that is like really distancing because it then underlines, oh, I don't have a fucking clue where you're coming from. Like we are not from the same place. I don't
So you
understand.
hate My Chemical Romance.
I think My Chemical Romance is torture music.
What do you guys? Do you guys fuck with that? Did you fuck with it when you were
He
young
did
kids?
it.
That was not. That was
think that was
I'm
like
too
pre-
young
yeah.
for it.
Yeah,
honestly.
but
There you
me,
go.
but I fucked with
Thank
it
you for that
heavy.
honesty.
You fucked with it heavy.
Yeah, 3 Cheers. I fucked with super heavy because like I was
100% agree.
I was going to school. I was like getting up in the morning, getting ready for school, and MTV music television still played
When it was still
music.
yeah.
And you would have like My Chemical Romance videos, like music videos, and I fucked with it. Like I mean, still to this day, I can put that record on and listen to it front to back.
Did they? Is it just that one record, or is it? Would you?
I like the one before that.
Two?
I don't
Okay.
like the Black Parade. I like completely
The first
checked
thing
out
that I heard
when it was
from-
like a full blown gimmick.
Okay.
Yeah, the first thing that I heard from My Chemical Romance was like a music video with a song that literally was like na 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 na.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
losing
checked
me.
out. Yeah,
On the other end of the,
Yeah.
They were on this side of the mountain. They were done.
Yo, so while
Or
But you
man-
hear about like, and then also from like a respect point of view, like the things that like My Chemical Romance did, like you hear about like them doing Warped Tour, and they had a separate semi truck for their merchandise. Like they were moving.
that's just
so
size,
much
honestly.
Fucking merch, like
Yeah, for a short while they were a small arena band.
Yeah.
Like they were.
I saw them sell out Madison Square Garden.
you went.
Is that fucking true?
That's real. Yeah,
A
they
friend
did.
of mine, yeah, it was them and Taking Back Sunday, sold out, full scale Madison Square Garden.
So I mean, no.
Oh, wow.
So when you hit a certain size, and it's not even about them being like, we need our own trailer. It's like I worked for Linkin Park at their peak, and I got offered to do Project Revolution tour working merch, which meant I'd be driving in an 18-wheeler, alternating cities because there was one crew driving to one show. Then so
Psycho shit.
we'd go to Chicago
Yeah,
with
psycho.
an 18-wheeler, have to do count-outs of an entire 18-wheeler, and then count-ins. Team 2 would go to St. Louis. Then we'd go on to Little Rock or wherever the fuck, and it was I turned it down.
So
But that's just size.
the fact that a band could even do that sounds like
that's like if
is
My
wild.
Chemical My Chemical Romance every now and then will like hint at a reunion, and every show sells out.
And people-
Like,
yeah,
they haven't even like announced a routing, and it's like
Right.
yeah.
But for me, that's like men jump out of a van, put a sack over my
Yeah.
head. I wake up in a basement, and instead of like torturing me with electricity, they play My
My
Chemical.
And so
Romance.
Tom
Yeah.
co-signed our man's review,
Absolutely.
and
I'm
the-
old.
And Pat's face, it was you know when the eyes bulge out and then the skin comes off, and then it's the skeleton scream. That was Pat's face
I'm
right
a sucker for like a big chorus, and they can write a big chorus.
Okay.
I like Queen.
they could do
there. No,
that.
I love Queen.
I
My
will
Chem-
say-
My Chemical Romance
I
sounds
will
like
say
Queen.
that
Yeah.
There we go.
I know My Chemical Romance kind of walks this like fine line, but I am not a pop punk guy whatsoever.
Same.
Okay,
But
I don't even know. I don't qualify them as pop punk. I mean pop.
I
don't
think
know.
I think if they came out now, kids would call them pop punk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I-
but
What they
like
call
then
it?
it was
What
just
would
like
they call
emo.
it? I mean,
It was just
what-
like emo.
when-
at the time,
Emo.
at the time,
That's
it was
Swoop hair,
at the time
emo.
it was
Yeah.
screamo, scene
But
music,
emo
whatever.
also
Scene music,
emo
big.
means very different things.
Sure,
to
but
very different people.
so actually, that's the one respect that I'll give them is that they didn't sound like their contemporaries, and that's cool. But like that doesn't mean it's good.
Speaking of emo, I have a compliment for you at some point, but not on the air. You get too much.
I get
shit.
too much.
Real quick, what do you think about The Used? Because everybody says one or the other.
No, I say neither.
I mean,
Neither?
literally both.
Okay.
but,
Do you like The Used too?
I fuck with them too. Yeah.
I don't like.
There we
I
go.
don't like
See,
The
I'm,
Used.
I'm team used
Yeah.
on this one.
podcast
Amazing.
over. Fuck this.
Welcome to the
We'll
Bob and
start
Pat
our own
Hardcore
podcast
Show.
and talk about the used.
Fuck. Yeah, I honestly, so I I date a 21-year-old that loves to have fun, and like she loves like to her that's totally cool, fun shit. I hate fun, and I'm not 21, so fuck the used, fuck My Chemical Romance. Fuck
And
that
yo,
shit.
this is where you got me and Pat on the corner out here. Me and Pat, the trolls under the bridge, being like, "This ain't our world."
Yeah.
Fuck Metallica too, and like fuck other like fucking arena band. You two can suck a dick.
I'm with you too, and Metallica. No, we good.
If
Fuck these dudes, man. They don't know what the fuck it's like.
Oh, I mean,
I can't wait for the reviews on this.
Peanut butter on the walls.
So Tom really thinks that My Chem and the Used and Metallica and U2 are kind of like the same lane, huh? All right, next topic.
imagine like Gerard Way's like listening to this podcast, like fuck.
I mean, it's,
Or adjacent, especially
Adjacent
for
as
those
fuck.
Are they still? Because Gerard Way's like David Bowie now.
no. So actually, okay. So Gerard Way is a dude that, while I can shit on his band, I hope that he's professional enough to still hire me, because what he
His
does,
comic stuff is great. He's doing really cool
so
stuff.
he works in the same field that I work in, and Gerard Way, if you hear this, I just hate everything that you've touched musically, but that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean?
Let's work together. Let's rock a gig.
Doesn't mean anything. So, okay, where we want to go?
So we're gonna go.
Midwest?
Yeah, we're gonna go. There's one thing I did want. I got an axe to grind.
Oh, okay.
Our man Tom.
Yeah.
Tom.
You're taking.
I'm taking him to court.
homie court.
Homie court. No, we've grounded axes. No, not with
bring it.
you.
I don't give a shit.
In the group chat. We knew we were having company. Sure. Thank you guys for coming again.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And Tom hits Pat with "Hey man, you think you can clean up the room a little bit?"
I'll be honest. I didn't even see that.
Well,
have a weird.
you did anyway.
I know he did,
Which is
and I think
cool.
he might have been, but I felt like he was friend shaming and room shaming a little bit.
Well,
Let's be fair.
You got to defend yourself.
From an outsider perspective, this room looks completely fine.
Yeah.
The
should
only
see our
thing that's
van.
weird is the peanut butter in the
Okay.
Okay, so as
you've taken huge strides in the last like 3 weeks.
Now
No,
I
you're
just
right.
want.
Am
now
I-
I want to see a picture of what it was like.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's paint the picture.
We'll go outside. We'll grab like 10 bags of garbage, tear them open, just throw them everywhere.
It was like a raccoon lived in here with Pat,
Yes.
and they were both in that like stalemate where it's like, I'm not taking that out.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it out either. Hey,
gonna
check
fucking-
this out. I'm
yeah.
throwing that on the ground.
Good.
And the raccoon's
Yeah.
like, well,
I'm gonna
fuck
eat
you.
that
I'm going to
now.
rip this bag
Yeah.
open.
Yeah. Well, my whole thing was like, we're having guests. So I'm like, Vitalo, like, he confirmed. He's like, the Knocked Loose dudes, and he can come over. Let's get this, can we clean up just like a little bit? Because, like, Alex Casey, we know Alex Casey. I can, be on the side, like, I'm really sorry that. But like, it's like our first impression with these dudes, and it's going to be like, all right, you're going to have to move that garbage bag over so you can get to the chair. That was the only thing.
It's okay. I'm
so
with you.
A lot of shaming going on, but I here's the deal. I wake up way later than you guys.
So we have these conversations that Pat gets.
I don't know if that helps you.
well
Yeah, I don't know.
I sleep all day. I have no time to clean.
no. It's just that I wake up at like 9:30, and these working professionals have already had like 35-minute conversations about whatever the bullshit of the day is, and I'm jumping into like a 500-piece group chat.
Well, and so we got to shout out our silent fourth member of our group chat, who has admitted to me, and I don't know if he's admitted as much to you guys, he's muted us for volume. He mutes us. He said that
On
he
the
went
group
through a
chat.
period where he didn't hit the group chat for like 2 weeks,
We're
and
all
he's like
concerned.
Yeah, we were having personal conversations. Like, have you talked to? And he was like, yeah, I looked in, and I hadn't looked for a while, and there was like 500 or 600 messages. So he was like, I'm out. He's like, I opened it. It took time to load. It was the whole thing. So, all right, no, that wasn't real, Tom. I love you. I'm glad it's been a positive influence.
Well, you should see the van. Like, our van's way worse than this room.
Also,
Also,
lived that for like a month and a half, and there's like 7 people in a fucking van.
and
This
it's
is one dude.
still
No.
terrible.
Also,
when-
we live by the Ohio River, so like,
You just sweep it out there.
Yeah.
Damn, guys.
Just throw it in.
Litter ain't cool no matter what your age is.
So let's talk Midwest for a second. All right.
okay.
Now, this is going to tie into like getting to the meat of why you're sometimes a hot button band on this podcast, right? We've got some episodes that haven't aired yet. We interview some people your age who are haters, right?
Yeah.
But the commonality is that they're East Coast people.
Yeah.
And you just sold out a very big room in Massachusetts, so obviously the East Coast fucks with you. But the wind at your back came from the Midwest. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Midwest love from day one.
Just like I would say the urge early on to know that we had to get out of the Midwest, because like from the Midwest in hardcore, you grow up knowing that you have to drive, that the 4-hour drive to Chicago is regular if you want to see a lot of these bands, or you grow up watching Hate 5-6 videos of This Is Hardcore, and like you see like, oh, that's how people act for a band that will like never play Kentucky. You know what I mean?
So if anything, you want to go out.
Yeah. So when we our first year as a touring band,
and quick pause, how long you guys been a band?
we started in 2013.
That ain't yesterday.
Yeah, we started touring in 2014. But 15 was the first year we had our own van. Before that, we were sharing vans. In 2015, we toured for 10 months.
Yeah.
That's wild. You guys were both there the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
In 2015, we were playing shows, and the flyer for our next show at that venue was already on the wall.
Yeah.
And we were like, if you like what you hear, we'll be back
Come
in 10
back
days.
next month.
That's true grind.
And the thing that we did is we would go out with hardcore bands that sound nothing like us,
like
true
who? Yeah.
hardcore bands.
Yeah.
Vice from New York.
Oh,
We
yeah.
toured with them very early on.
Another
toured with a
mistake.
band at home called Another Mistake that
Yep.
sounds like
Oh, yeah.
Carry On.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they had a minute.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
back
yeah,
home.
yeah.
But they were a thing, and I would hear people talk about it and be like, "Who? What?" But
To
then I'd
us,
see,
it's
To
you're
us-
right? No, and I know
I have
that's
Another
important.
Mistake tattoo. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
band's
To us, it's
very
huge.
important to us.
And I think they kind of brought some culture with them because they were doing all the things East Coast bands would do. They were ripping off like a Right Brigade shirt that was a rip off of a Boiling Point
Yeah.
shirt
Those
and
are
a
also
Slapshot shirt.
those are the old heads
Right.
of Louisville.
Okay. That's
right
good.
now, you know?
But like I want to go into that too,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the old heads in Louisville. But what I was saying is like we would tour with bands like that sounded like Carry On or and nothing like us, and we'd be like, hey, in 10 days we'll be back, but it's with metalcore bands
Yeah.
that sound nothing like Carry On.
Yeah.
And then 10 days after that we're coming back with a beatdown band.
Yeah.
And then like we'll do the pop punk show.
Yeah.
We played rap shows. Like we did absolutely every single thing that we could, just so like there like it didn't matter if you hated us or liked us, you saw our name somewhere.
So real quick, because this is a cool thing to me, and it's a tough question. How do you guys classify yourselves? What do you think Knock Loose sounds like?
I know
And it's a
that
fucked up question, right?
I know that this
If
is
you're asking me, there's a difference between like, oh, what genre are you, and like, what are you ripping off?
Well, right, and
Yeah.
ripping off. Let's do both. So, what genre would you guys broadly place yourself in?
And thank you for the honesty of using
Yeah.
the phrase "ripping off," which is what I would.
Yeah.
That's how I
That's
talk.
what-
That's how I
that's-
talk about
that's
my
what
bands.
writing
But
is.
not
it's
everybody.
good, right? Yeah,
That's what
but it's
writing
yeah. So
music
let's hear it.
is.
well, like I'm
You
like
can both give your answers.
I'm weird about this because like
You should be.
I
This
don't
is
want
fucking
to.
weird.
It became a very big topic for our band, and I don't know
Internally.
why. Yeah. Well, no, like
everybody, the
externally.
conversation around you.
externally-
guys.
Everybody
and
is like
internally.
constantly like, they're not this, they're this, and they're not this, they're this. So I just started saying like I don't care. I consider myself a hardcore kid. When I'm at home, I very much participate in the hardcore community, and I will always do that because that's where my love stands. But when it comes to my band, I'm not going to put hardcore on a t-shirt because I don't want anybody thinking that
To
I'm
feel a
trying to
fucking
fit
way
in.
about
yeah.
it, yeah.
Like I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm a hardcore kid. Like I've been going to hardcore shows for a very long time. And I don't want to seem bitter or to seem like I'm trying to fit in, because if the whole entire world agreed that we were a youth crew band, our next record would not sound like Youth of Today.
Sure,
it would sound like Knocked Loose and the stuff that Knocked Loose rips off.
And so let's talk about
It's
that. Yeah.
It's like the way that I put it is like, okay, me at home, for example, I play in like 4 hardcore bands.
What bands?
I play in Inclination. I play in a band called Nine Eyes.
Wicked
play in a band
Garden.
called Wicked Garden. I'm doing Knock Loose. That's a Stone Temple Pilots thing.
It's fantastic. Respect on that.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
that.
Nine Eyes is a fucking One King Down song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Nine Eyes
is
is a one
Yeah.
King Down song.
Is that-
Yes.
Nine
That's where it
Eyes
came from,
sounds
yeah.
like,
But it sounds like Bury Your Dead.
yeah.
But so the way I put it is like, hey, I play in all these hardcore bands at home. I like moshing. I like going to shows all the time.
Yeah.
I love
Isaac
hardcore.
houses bands.
I house all the
Isaac
bands.
That's
I do
records all the
Yeah,
bands.
yo, we get
And then-
emails about you dudes just personally.
Like-
I'm not even gonna tell you the names, but people be
Bricks.
like, you
Yeah.
don't know,
Bricks.
you don't. Well, Bricks, but like
Yeah.
he's like, you don't know
How
much
involved
and how much
Yeah.
these dudes specifically as individuals do for Louisville.
So the way that I put it is like, okay, so I do all this stuff. Knock Loose is a band with kids in it that, full of kids that like hardcore, go to shows, have played hardcore shows since the beginning. Okay, you tell me what you think Knock Loose is.
And I want to point out a band that a lot of people have a hard time placing too, that is made up of a bunch of dudes who were, probably always will consider themselves hardcore kids. Fucking Title Fight. Genreify them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you could,
there you
they
go.
lean a lot
That's
closer
something
to
I wanted to
punk
say.
punk, you know
I don't
what
want
mean?
to sound.
But those dudes are hardcore kids doing it, but it's
Yeah.
like,
I don't want to sound like butthurt or anything, but
it's
that
okay if
happens
you
a
are,
lot.
because it's kind of fucked up for you guys.
Well, no, like I truly don't care. Like we're going to do Warped Tour. We're gonna do this hardcore. We're gonna do anything cool that comes across our table. Like
Are you guys gonna play the Axe to Grind showcase?
we will.
There
yeah.
you go. Let's go.
Lock it in.
But what I'm saying is like there are a lot of bands that get that. Like I mean, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because a lot of these bands I'm fans of. But Harm's Way, they don't sound like Judge. Like you know what I mean? Like
I don't think
and
you can
Harm's
argue
Way-
that, right?
And Harm's Way is like good friends of mine, and I love Harm's Way. But you hear people like, "Oh, they're hardcore kids," and it's like, you
Yeah.
don't fucking know me, dude. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
So this is actually the meat of the conversation that I find this so interesting. We've talked on this podcast very briefly about Uncanny Valley hardcore, which is shit.
And you need to explain that, yeah.
So shit that is like, we use the term adjace, you know what I mean? But it is, if to an outsider it might be the exact same thing as a hardcore show.
Yeah.
But to people that are in the culture, it feels decidedly different for reasons that they often can't articulate.
They can't put to words.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, man. It's not.
It's not the same.
And you are absolutely right. Often it comes down to people, their sort of inference about where people's origins lie.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I think that there's two things happening here where you are perceived as young enough that your influences must be
Younger.
It must
Younger
be
people.
deathcore. Must
Yeah.
be
well,
yeah.
that's another thing. A lot of people, I will notice that like the more. Every time we get announced on something like hardcore, Torn with Terror, playing This Is Hardcore, you get all these like hardcore kids that take the safe way out. And like I'm like on record, I'm just here to say that like I don't need it. Like you hear a
What do you
lot
mean,
of people
what's the
say
safe
like,
way? Yeah.
they tweet like say what you want about Knock
Good
Loose,
kids
but they're
doing-
young kids
doing
a
good
lot.
stuff.
And it's
And you guys are like, yo, we good on that fucking.
yeah,
yo,
it's like,
fuck
yo, I'm
off.
almost
I like
20.
it.
dude.
I'm almost
Right.
25. Like I've been going to like your version of hardcore shows for a long time.
I'm
good.
not alien to
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
you're.
like-
yeah.
You know?
Well, but okay, so that's the interesting point
Yes.
here is that you're perceived you're perceived that way in the same way that we talked about the band Jesus Piece the other day. They suffer to a lesser degree, but still suffer from that same perception.
Yeah.
And what is interesting about it is, like, I'm glad that you're not butthurt, because I would tell you that point blank you are doing 5 times better than.
and regardless of if you were doing better or worse, I'd say you shouldn't care, because what you said is the exact thing that every fucking person should say who's in a hardcore. You know, I know what I'm shooting for, and I know how I felt, all that shit.
know-
you know
I
what I
know
mean?
that
Like,
I'm
you
in
know who you
hardcore.
are,
I mean,
and
yeah.
you know who he is, and he
Yeah.
knows who you are,
but-
and you guys are doing your thing, and fuck everybody
But
else.
here's the interesting part, is that it's only because every hardcore dude I've ever known, with the exception of Tom, goes from their hardcore band to their shitty derivative post-punk band to their and nobody seems to have a problem with that in 2018. But because you gentlemen are playing heavy music, I think that people have this weird parsing that they don't apply to a quote unquote hardcore kid doing anything else.
And how much of that is straight jealousy? You know what
Jealousy
I mean? I think
and-
like if you guys were playing the small room at the Palladium, no one would be like questioning your hardcore resume.
Well, I don't
But
know.
you guys are like,
I don't know. I think
I
there's
don't know as
jealousy,
much
and I think
jealousy
there's
because-
regional. I think there's a regional thing against you guys.
I think that's where I'm at.
You don't know now. That kind
My
of
biggest
yeah,
beef
go ahead.
with this entire thing is like, am I allowed to like these bands? Because like all these like
Oh, is it a
fucking
bummer? You can
hardcore
use
bands-
names if you want. Don't
no,
be afraid.
No, I'm not here to name drop, but like
Okay.
all these like hardcore bands like that like talk shit on us because they don't like they're entitled to their opinion, yes. But like, does that mean that I'm allowed to like them? Because like now I feel weird.
Are
like-
you excluded from because
Yeah.
band acts who you're like, yo, I
Because
like
that's-
your band camp.
That's
like,
a that's a lot of bands.
Like
Right.
you're on
Yeah.
stage
That's a
preaching.
lot
and
of
that bums
bands.
you guys. Does that
And
on a
as a
like small
dude-
level? Does
as-
it like hit you like
Yes.
shit? This kind of sucks.
As
The
a dude-
only when it's a band that I do like.
Yeah.
As a
and-
dude that loves hardcore,
Yeah.
like loves new hardcore,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I'm super bummed about it. It's just it sometimes makes me feel
It's just
weird.
like a weird irk. Like
Yeah.
shit, man. Like
Yeah.
I know, I feel it. You know.
you got to do one of two things. You either got to do what Fury of 5 did and cover the band, or
Don't do what Fury 5 did. It's literally ever.
or
Coal Chamber. Fucking stop talking about Fury 5.
they covered a lot of they covered a lot of bands they beat up. Or you can do what I do and just wear the shirts of the bands that you know hate you the most.
Oh, that's actually a funny move. That's a twist move on him to stunt on him with the. Like,
I just
oh,
wanna
I'm
get-
wearing.
I
Oh,
haven't
I saw
thought
your
of
tweet
that,
last
actually.
week.
I just want to get caught in a
Yeah.
photo wearing, you know what I mean? Like,
What's up, Downtown Boys? Yeah,
they
hit
hate
them.
they hate my ass.
Yeah, I know you on that hot shit with the band. No, does anybody in this room know who that band is?
Absolutely not.
Right, I know.
So there's like
But I know who your bands are.
there, well,
Yeah, big ups.
there's like three. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we are label mates.
DC, Drug Church.
Drug Church.
Yeah.
Wait, Drug Church.
Is a pure noise band now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sick.
So
That's
there you
awesome. I didn't. Did Drug Church ever have any affiliation with Little Heart Records?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
except that the dudes in Drug Church, their former band did. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. Yeah.
That's a big deal for us.
Yeah.
What
but
is that?
right?
What is Little Heart Records?
Little
I'm not
Heart
familiar.
Records was a record label based out of Louisville that was like very small. It was ran by a guy named Bryan, and he actually put out our demo. We were one of the first like heavier bands he tried to like mess with. He usually did like pop punk bands.
Mhm.
Am I speaking out of turn or did he pass away?
He did.
did.
Okay,
So rest in peace, Bryan.
Major respect.
Yeah.
We
Little
would,
Heart Records. You go
Little
check
Heart
it out.
Records. Yeah, we would not be where we were if it wasn't for him. Like hands down. That was one of my best friends. So yeah, I remember him mentioning something about Drug Church. So I
Yeah,
was
he-
planning on asking you that while we were
He's
here.
he's homies with I think he put out something for their band.
What was the
before-
pre-Drug Church band?
something bad? I don't remember.
Okay,
But
What a dick. Is that such a dick move? All right, so anyways, the thing that's super interesting, because I want to talk about your sound, but then we want to go heavy on Louisville. Because there's a lot of meat on that fucking bone. I think there's a lot of meat on that bone.
well, I do want to get into like Midwest Bloodfest, whatever
yeah, we'll
the fuck
do that.
it's called.
But I
now,
want to
with-
talk about Louisville and how there was a time, and you guys probably are familiar with this. We're going to get to it. What does Knocked Loose rip off? What do you think it sounds like? Because you did identify. You're like, you don't sound like Judge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's the stuff you think of?
We
Either
like-
the earlier stuff and then as you've evolved, all that shit.
We like breakdowns. Like we love them.
We like
we love
breakdowns.
mosh
Like
parts.
I like-
ignorant, heavy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Like disembodied.
love Disembodied.
Martyr AD.
Love Martyr AD.
That whole like era.
This is
like
the weirdest thing when this is like a generational divide.
It's
because
so
I,
big,
because
yeah.
I was there for that and
Same.
I did not like it at all. And
I know,
now-
and I hear that a lot.
But that's
we hear that all the
okay.
time.
but I would
It's
like.
But
Disembodied
us
was-
us looking back at it now, that's
the
what
shit.
Disembodied was something that I like came back to. But Martyr AD, like I remember like the American Hollow video, and like I was like super stoked because like I do like everything. Like I do like deathcore, I do like metalcore, hardcore. So like the heavier stuff definitely resonates with me. But I go through phases where I'll listen to like literally anything. But Knocked Loose will always be heavy, like just really heavy.
So
Okay.
I have a theory, and it's not necessarily charitable to you guys, right?
Okay.
But like but I think it is. But it depends on how you read it. That band Expire, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who? This is just me speaking frankly. I think that there's some rewriting of history because the one kid is into some bad shit or whatever.
Yeah, some bad shit happened, yeah.
So there's some rewriting of history where now nobody liked them, even though they sold more hats
They were
than fucking anybody on the
huge.
planet.
They were an important band in the Midwest, and it's like, yeah, dude did some
very-
bad shit.
That's the point, is that they were a big band in the Midwest, which isn't to say their shows on the coast weren't hot, whatever.
And they did well out here, yeah. There were
but-
tons of kids in
but
New
it's-
Jersey with
But
Expire
it's
shirts.
just to say that there's firstly the Midwest backs its own, you know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
I can't begrudge that. That's fine. Knocked Loose, my impression, and this is my impression as a coastal
Coastal elite.
is Knocked Loose. Not that you necessarily took anything from Expire's model intentionally, but Expire got a ton of fans playing rather straightforward hardcore, just a little tiny bit metallicized.
Yeah.
And
Like modern hardcore, sure.
yeah, but they got a ton of fans because the vibe of the band was welcoming to people that had no level of elitism.
Inclusionary to the nth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
inclusionary and blue collar, like worked hard, went and toured, did
Yeah.
the 10 months.
Yeah,
tour.
yeah, for
And
sure.
I think it was because they were willing to do tours outside of hardcore. I think
Correct.
that they like noticed early on that like I love hardcore, but it has a ceiling and
It's a
it's
very low
and
one,
it's
yes.
lower than metalcore. So like they branched out, and I think that that's like if you want. They got a lot of kids into hardcore, which like at the end of the day I think is very important because like I said, I wanted to like touch on like the old heads. Like when we were getting into hardcore, when I was getting into hardcore and like I couldn't drive, I had a friend that like I met at a mixed bill show that didn't know me at all and just started taking me to every hardcore show. He was like, "You'd like this?" He'd come pick me up from my mom's and he would drive me there and he'd
Dang.
drive me home.
Yeah.
And like the first time I ever met the singer of Another Mistake, it was at the Another Mistake show, and he shook my hand. I complimented his Expire shirt, and he said, "I'm going to Ohio tomorrow to see him. Do you want to come with me?" And like I didn't know that guy at all. Offered me a seat in his car to go to Cincinnati. So like that's just like very much. It was never like, "Oh, you're new here."
It was always inclusive.
And
Yeah,
that's so
forever.
that's something I think that does separate in different places. I'll be really honest. When I moved to California, because I got into hardcore when I was 14-ish, 15-ish. Like, by the time I was like 19, I'm like, oh, man, hardcore. Ooh, things might be over soon. I don't know. But when I moved to California, I noticed, and it was just some of the struggle. This wasn't true for everyone, but I noticed I was like, oh, a lot of these kids are getting into hardcore close to like 18, 19. 14 to 18 means fucking jack shit to me now. But at the time, I was like, that's really weird. You guys sound like you were pretty young when you started going to shows.
Yeah.
And so that older group of people kind of
Yeah.
did do the like, oh, hey, let's bring you up. And I think that's something that rings true for a lot of different people.
And it
Pat, you
was
got
like-
some weird shit. So
It was
right?
like, oh, like I like your shirt. If you like that band, you would like
Check
this
out
band,
this
this band,
band.
this band.
right, the
this
inclusionary and like
Yeah.
we want to
Or-
spread this way in a direct fucking
Or
way.
like, hey, this, I'm an older dude. This is the band that I play in. This is what this is the
stuff
older
we
bands.
like.
Yeah, exactly.
And like
That's cool.
because like no disrespect to the Northeast because it's one of my favorite places to play.
fine.
But up here you all have so much cool shit going on.
Always.
You can drive less than 3 hours to this hardcore. You can like you all get to see bands like Killing Time, which like when is Killing Time going to play Kentucky?
Answer that, Tom.
Probably never. I think
Yeah,
they played
that's what I'm
Chicago a couple
saying.
years
And
ago.
here-
That's as close
and
as it's
the
gonna
funny
get.
thing is that it's to the point now where it's like a Killing Time show. For a person that's in, it would be like, oh yeah, I've seen Killing Time a couple times. Like a
Yeah, right, I know.
19-year-old.
But to
and
me,
for
like-
us,
And now when you were young,
Right.
for
like,
me,
like,
it's like, dude, that's a dream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
to
right.
see
we
Killing
got to
Time.
play with Chromags at East Coast Tsunami this year,
Yeah.
and
Insane.
everybody was like,
that was like important to you
Insane.
guys.
yeah,
to me.
everybody was like,
And I
oh,
skipped
it's
it. I was just
Chromags.
like,
Yeah, everyone was like, oh, and then people left
I
before
know.
they
Like,
played.
oh, it's
So for
Chromags.
me, it's
And I was like,
what?
they did like
Yeah.
they did PMA and Horizon Fall,
Yep.
which is like something they do every show. But me and Isaac were like,
Like, it's so
just
fucking
freaking
cool,
out.
right?
Yeah.
I
because
know.
like in Kentucky, like that shit just like doesn't happen. So like it's smaller, and we know like the old heads and like now us know that like you see a kid, you want them to come back.
Yeah.
You want them
Oh,
to come
yeah.
back so that your friends can come through and play cool shows.
Which is so kind of foreign. Like as a kid, like in Brooklyn, people weren't nice. They weren't.
So yeah,
inclusive.
this is
Like,
the difference in
it's
our
awesome.
experiences.
Like,
We'll
there's-
talk about
There's
this.
no shot. Like some dude would have been like, "Oh shit, you have a Chromag shirt on. You might like Burn." Not a
That
fucking
didn't
shot.
happen for you.
No, people would be like, if you. It sounds like with you guys, if you were walking down Bardstown Road and you saw some dude with a fucking Backtrack shirt on,
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh shit, you like Backtrack? You should check out this. You should check out this.
Yeah.
If I was walking down someplace in New York with a fucking Sick of It All shirt on, people would, like, dudes that
That
I know
wasn't weird for
now
you, yeah.
would, like, stare me down.
Yeah. So that's the
Trying to, like,
difference.
check me, like, who the fuck is this guy?
for
Why do you
me,
like Sick of It All? Like,
Growing up in suburban New Jersey in the mid and late 90s, like I remember the dudes who were like a year older than me in high school. Like I'd be on the phone with them, being like, "So tell me about the Bad Brains." They'd talk to me about it for like an hour.
Yeah.
And the dudes who were a little older than us, like we did do that. And then I did it to the dudes who were younger than
That's
me,
it,
and they
yeah.
did it to the dudes who were
And
younger
that's
than them.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
and we were at one of my good friends as a young guy, and somebody I still stay in touch with now, Tyler Mate. Me and another friend were at a fucking arcade in Manasquan, New Jersey, on the boardwalk. And I'm wearing a 10-yard fight shirt. My friend was wearing a Descendants shirt. And this dude comes up and is like, "Oh, you guys like hardcore? Me too. I'm in this band." And we started hanging out 3 days later. Just like, yeah, let's be friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's the kind of.
And I think that's kind of evolved away from that too now here. You know
I
what I
remember
mean?
when I was in middle school, there was a venue in Oldham County actually, which like is non-existent. Oldham County is just like the countryside of Louisville. But there was a venue called Twice Told. That hopefully Knocked Loose will get to open up one day to do an Oldham County show. But they had punk shows every Friday, and it was the same punk band every Friday. And it was just a place for all the skaters to go hang out. And it was a punk band called Porn with a Plot. And they sounded,
That's a great
Yeah.
name.
Yo, by the way, we got a band name episode coming up soon.
they sounded like the Casualties, and like they didn't wear shoes to school, and they all had like mohawks.
God bless.
Yeah.
And I remember I got a flyer. I was in middle school. I got a flyer from a high schooler. I told him that my mom wouldn't let me go, and he drove to my house to vouch for me to be able to go. I only got to go once, and then it shut down.
So
But,
that's real shit. Like,
Yeah.
like this from you dudes too. Like, and me. If you know younger people, be nice to them. 2,
Yeah.
show them shit. 3, they might be a posing ass poser right now, but if you give
We
them
all
a
were at some
chance,
point.
Yeah.
yeah, and
It's-
just do that. Like
because
that's
I feel
life changing shit,
I
dude.
feel like so much now is like, you know, like it's instead of being like, "Oh, that's a nice shirt. I'm gonna fact check you on this
Yeah.
band." Instead of
your
it,
favorite song, bro?
yeah. Which is so name
That shit
5
sucks.
songs,
But, like-
shit, whatever. And instead, just being like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome." You know,
Well,
hope to
Knocked
see you
Loose
at a
kind
show.
of took that mentality into touring, which I think like Expired did as well. But like, Knocked Loose, I don't know how, but we got very, very lucky to play in front of like a very young demographic and like a lot of new kids, and like hopefully, I don't want to like be the self-proclaimed entry-level band, but a lot of people have told me that we've gotten a lot of new kids into hardcore, which like I think is
Terror.
important. But like
Right?
with like
Yeah.
me and Isaac, we're like. Me and Isaac are like the T-shirt guys. They're like
Yeah,
the
you guys wear
old
the
band
shirts.
shirts
Yeah.
and like
Yeah,
but-
right now my old man's wearing a Bad Seed shirt.
yeah.
The other's got a Vomachara hoodie that Pat's just gonna gank off him before we leave.
There you go.
But like when we did Warped Tour, like that was a huge conversational piece. Like whatever shirts we were wearing, like young kids would be like, "What's that?"
What's
and I'd be
that?
like, "Let me tell you."
Yeah,
That's just
exactly.
cool, and to have that feeling, be able to have that conversation.
Right, and to have like a band like you guys to have like the access to you guys, because I feel
Yeah.
like, you know, like say in my time or like in our age range, like Biohazard was like kind of an entry level band.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
You'd be like, "Oh, I saw them with Ozzy Osbourne and whatever."
Yeah.
You're not going up to the dude from Biohazard and be like, "So tell me more about the Sheer Terror shirt you're wearing." But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you guys are approachable. That dudes can come, you know, a man or a kid can come up to you and be
Yeah.
like, "So tell me about
Yeah.
Bad Seed." Like,
Also
like
from-
that's amazing. Like
from like a show standpoint too, like playing shows like that, it's really, really cool from a live perspective to be able to scare people, kind of. You know,
scare
you
people
know, like-
who aren't used to
yeah,
your
yeah,
level.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we're on Warped Tour, right? And we're on the smallest stage. And there's kids that are just like walking by. They're just like, "Oh, you know, there's a lot of people at this stage right now. I might as well check out and see." And you know, they're up front or whatever because they want to be there to see whatever.
And
like
they're,
Black
they're
Veil
shitting their
Brides.
pants.
Yeah,
because-
yeah. And then we ring out our first note, and they look absolutely terrified. And I'm on stage being like, "This is the coolest shit I've ever seen," because I'm like, I feel like I'm changing this person's life.
So,
you know.
so
Right, you're exposing them to something that they weren't.
Yeah, not even like hardcore, obviously, but like just
Something different,
heavier,
yep.
different
Not
stuff.
Black Veil Brides.
Yeah, not Black Veil Brides.
so right now it sounds like the room is in a for the better sort of mentality, but that theory was just for better or for worse.
Yeah.
For worse, your inclusive vibe is ultimately why people who are hella tight about hardcore are hella angry at you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So like, this is like, I'm sort of saying this without judgment because I can be hella tight and hella narrow. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm
What,
not
really?
so I'm not necessarily your advocate or your enemy here, but like I find you guys interesting for this reason, is because the Expire got some accusations of being posery, but
Oh yeah. When we say accusation, let's just put this: we're separating the shit that happened and
Yeah,
talk
oh,
about
yeah.
them as a musical act. We're talking
Yeah.
about Expire, the band.
But
Yeah.
but here's the deal: is when I saw Expire, we played a basement show together or whatever, and nobody was calling them posers at that time. It was only after it became obvious that like, oh, this is a thing that the kid who just segued out of deathcore or still likes deathcore actively
discovered
likes.
this one hardcore-ish band, and
Yeah.
because I don't like that stuff that their audience was into,
Then-
I'm gonna be fucking stuck. I'm gonna be on some shit about them.
Correct. So just like, I don't know if you guys, like, maybe this doesn't bear repeating, but like, I've thought about your band too much for having only heard your band 3 times. And the reason that I think about it is just because I find that conversation of, I think Harm's Way is a great example. Harm's Way is going to probably be an industrial metal band on their next record, and
That's certainly the direction it's kind of trending, and that's not like no negative connotation to that. That's just it.
But there will be somebody that like some guy who feels the obligation to be an apologist when Harm's Way doesn't need you to be an apologist. Harm's Way is happy making the music that they're making.
What he said was really good. Yo, I don't need you. That's some real shit. Most of these bands don't need you.
Oh.
They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and
Yeah.
hey, for better or worse, for sink or for swim, they don't need you to be like, well, you know what though, those guys, I don't like those last 2 records,
You gotta
but,
respect.
but
you
they're
know.
hardcore guys, you know.
Right.
It's also weird to me. Expire is one thing because like growing up as so if you're going to hardcore shows and like in New York or California or whatever, like you looked at Expire and were like, oh, that's the band that tours with So Far all the time. You
Well,
know?
some, not all.
Some, yeah. But to us, Expire was a very, very hardcore band.
Right.
Like that was not. We never questioned at all that band was like a you know a different.
They were
genre.
hardcore,
They
right.
were a hardcore. They had old dudes that liked the band.
Yep.
There were younger kids that liked the band.
I think it's the same thing. Like the same thing happened with Terror when they did Warped Tour. People tried to like.
It happened with Terror.
compare-
It would happen with Terror a long time ago.
There's a rewriting of history on Terror.
Yeah.
Because Terror got fucking straight hated on
Yes,
for
they
about
did.
2 records. Hated on.
Yeah.
But every Terror record sounds like a Terror record.
Yeah.
To me.
The metal records I could do without. But
No, I mean, I think it's just variations of it, and there's some that trend a little this way, and some that trend a little this way. It's still standing on
But
the same
they were-
axis. You know what I mean? Like,
But in my personal opinion, like they were never not a hardcore band.
sure,
no,
no,
I
I don't
agree.
think anyone would argue that. It's just the optics of what was going on. In the same way
Yeah.
you guys have said that, like you said the coast, because it's real. There's like, oh, the hardcore kids didn't think of Expire as hardcore. Well, there was a whole generation of kids who, because Expire toured with The Story So Far, or whoever the fuck they toured with, got into hardcore through Expire, whether they were in California or Chattanooga or fucking,
Which to
Columbia,
me,
New York.
in our minds, is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
That
Right?
can
How
happen.
interesting is that, right? A
Yeah.
band
And
from
another
Milwaukee
thing
did this.
is
Yeah.
like we're also not talking shit about the coast. Like we don't hate the coast.
Yeah.
But
No, I know the coasts are really pretty.
But,
I just was in Indianapolis for a while,
Yeah.
and I touched down in New York, and I was like, oh, this shit smells bad, but I'm
but
alright
from
with
the
it.
Midwest, like you realize a lot of people from coast take things for granted. And like even when we started touring, we noticed that people that were like you can go to California and you can do Anaheim, LA, and
San Diego, Ventura,
Van Nuys.
Van Nuys,
Anaheim,
Valley.
LA, Van Nuys. We literally did that on a tour, and that's like an hour apart each.
and it's
venue.
all, and it was separate
And it's
crowds.
all different kids.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the next time you go, you skip Van Nuys, but you do LA, and people are like, "Dude, why aren't you coming?" And it's like,
A
Yo.
funny story.
Drive
the
30
closest
minutes,
venue to
homies.
the closest
Yeah.
venue to my apartment is 45 minutes away.
A funny story that I like to tell is like we were playing Las Vegas for the first time. This was like years ago or whatever. And I had a friend that was there that went to hardcore shows in Vegas or whatever. And he was super excited like to come see us play. He was like, so the day of, he hits me up. He's like, "Where are you guys playing?" And we were like, I don't know, whatever. I can't remember exactly where we played.
Eastside Joe's.
Eastside
It was
Joe's.
a house.
But but he hit me up and he was just like,
Too
I was
far.
like, yeah. He was like, "Oh, you're playing West Vegas," and I was like, "What are you talking
I
about?"
know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, to give you an idea, last night there was 3 shows in New York that you could have gone to
Yeah.
if you had any.
Yeah,
there
I
you
know.
go. Yeah,
And
Yeah, because like we played
we
Mass.
played. There was a
There's
show.
a Providence
Typecast
show.
played in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Twitching Tongues played here.
And in Providence, there was the Fiddlehead.
Flex.
Fl-
I'm,
yeah,
I'm,
the Flex
I'm,
show
I'm
was
saying there
That's
was
right.
there was 3 shows in
In
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn,
last
right.
night.
Yeah,
and,
that's-
The mile of each other.
and I know people who chose their show based on like it's 3 blocks from my house.
It's
I'm gonna go-
closer, yeah.
Exactly.
And the joke we
crazy.
make is like, oh, we wouldn't go see this band if they were playing 3 blocks from our house, and we ain't joking.
And in many ways, we're not saying like we're not at all saying like, oh, that sucks, but we are saying like, wow, I wish
Different
I had
mentality.
That.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you
No,
know?
and yo,
I
on
wish
that,
that we had an all ages venue that wasn't a pizza restaurant.
yeah, exactly.
And I'm not trying, and I don't take Spinelli's for granted because it is all that we have. But like, I hear about like, so on this tour, we were gonna play Walters in Houston. Rest in peace to that venue because it was a great venue, but it got shut down. And my friend hits me up and he's like, "Hey, like, the show has to move." And like me and Isaac were very hands on when it came to this tour. We wanted to make sure that the shows were in the right rooms, that it had the right locals. So I was like, okay, hit me with a list of other possible venues and like rate them. And he sends me a list of like 15. And I was like, what? I was like, you have 15 fucking venues in Houston? Like, we have 1.
all right,
Yeah.
so here's a question for y'all. Do you guys have VFWs or DAVs or these kind of halls?
We did.
We did.
But like,
How many are there?
okay, so we have more than 1 venue.
Okay. Yeah.
But we have a very young hardcore scene. And a lot of these venues are 21 plus.
Ugh.
So we just will not.
So
Our,
nothing's
like,
booked.
no,
our
that's good.
friends-
That's good.
booked there.
Good.
Alex and Ryan, who book shows in Louisville, and then
They book
Scott,
the fest.
who books shows in
LDB.
Louisville.
Yes,
Yeah.
they book LDB.
They are like really close friends of ours, and they just will not book a show if it's not all ages.
That's the right mentality.
And because
period.
our
End of story. Like, there's no fucking arguments. Anybody who has that shit, no arguments. All
Yeah.
ages.
And in Louisville, more than in, like Midwest, in more places than others, like you have kids that are 14 and 15 that are coming
Yeah.
to shows.
And we have the venue where they do LDB or Midwest Blood Fest or whatever. And but I don't fully understand the ins and outs of that because I
Sure,
know
sure.
that they don't do regular hardcore shows, but they let the fest happen there.
Right.
And I know they had a show there. They had like Norma Jean play there a couple days ago, but it was 18 plus. And then like a lot of the venues in Louisville, it's like, oh, it can be all ages, but there will be a barricade. Nope, we don't do that.
Yeah, very good suck.
So yeah, like we have more than one, and like we had like the VFW halls, but it's like as soon as somebody gets hurt, it's like the owner's like, oh, I don't have insurance, so I can never do this again.
No, yeah, that's the all right. So here's the deal. My recommendation for you guys is with the VFWs and DVs, and this goes out to anybody who's listening. Get yourself a few, and just circle around. Make sure you got the best. Both of you guys can talk, so
Yeah.
go and talk to them and tell them what you're doing, and kind of give them the lay of the
Oh, we-
land. And, you know, I'm sure you've done
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Get a few, and you'll rotate through. Tom talks about we've lost every single venue at the short, and then come back because after a
Yeah.
few years, they really like our money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
Oh,
go drive
yeah.
by those places, they close, they black most nights.
And also a heads up for people listening at home. When a promoter or when a venue owner runs up to you and is like, "We're gonna shut this shit down," you hand that person $50, and
Yes.
they immediately go away.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
It's really amazing, and it's like
it's like pepper spray for old men. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
money is amazing. It's
We
a really
like-
cool equalizer.
We've always wanted to do a show in Oldham County, just because it doesn't happen, and we've always like said like, oh, we rep it this hard, like we want to have like a big like celebration. So when our album came out, we were going to do that, and I was like looking at like VFW halls in Oldham County to do it, and I remember one of them had a meeting with me. They wanted me to sit down. It was like the most serious thing for them, and I sat down with them, and they were like, "Will people get hurt?" And I was like, "It very well could happen." And they were like, "We don't have insurance," and I was like, "Well, I'll give you this much," and they were like, "Okay, you can do whatever you want."
They
were
will
like-
buy insurance with
Yeah,
that.
like it's like a struggling bar.
Yeah,
so like they're
100%.
like, we don't have anybody. We have. It's where my parents play cards on Thursdays, so like that's
Right.
the only time they get any money. So I was like, we'll give you this much. I was like, and you can sell beer all night, and like, actually we said no beer.
Yeah.
Right.
That was my only stipulation. I was like, you can sell soda, but I don't want people getting drunker, then people will get hurt.
So you, Edgeman right here?
Me.
Yeah.
Him.
Okay.
I recently quit smoking.
Good for you.
He's completely sober.
All
He's
right.
a sober man.
But I don't want to be one of those guys that
got
like
it.
jumps from thing to thing. Like I respect straight edge 100%, but yeah, 3 months without cigarettes. So
All right.
Respect to you.
Now,
That's
is
good.
it tough to be a band with like? So there's nowhere you guys can like actually play in Louisville, correct?
yeah,
Like
we don't have a
you couldn't do I mean, you'd have to do a month at Spinelli's.
We've done
We've
Spinelli's.
hopped on.
Like
Well,
secretly though.
Like
Yeah.
what was the last one we did was like
Vamacara,
Vamacara,
Separated.
separated, and Year the Knife played a show, and we hopped on, and we're like, hey,
but we
Right.
announced it at noon that day,
Right.
and it was still like oversold, and the owner always is like kind of bummed when we're there because it's just like a very big liability,
Right.
And like we also notice that as just like members of our hardcore community,
Right.
we know that if we play Spinelli's and it's oversold and something gets fucked up and we
Then
lose Spinelli's,
right.
Yeah,
then
it's a
we're
problem.
Then
screwed.
it's you guys,
Yeah.
right?
So like it was very hard, like when it came to booking this tour, knowing that we wouldn't get to have like a home show on our
Right.
first headliner.
Right.
But there's just like no.
because at this point, a home show for us is like we have to be part of booking every part of it.
Yeah, it's like
he has to look
100%
for a
hands-on.
venue. We have to,
But I have a lead on a spot in Oldham County, and this year might be the year.
yeah,
Oh.
we're looking at it.
What else is? I mean,
You're flying me down. I'll come down and we'll do
Okay.
this, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll
Well,
give
I
you
thought-
5.
we
If I
just-
don't give you 5
it'll be the
venues,
axe to grind fest.
and I'm an old motherfucker,
Yeah.
and I can talk to him. I've done insurance. I can say, oh, I've got event insurance.
Well,
no
we
problem.
just
So-
recently started touring with a trailer. We did van for as long as we
I
possibly
thought you said
could.
touring with the Treyu, and I was like, what the fuck year is
Yeah.
this?
well, they're back. I mean,
Well,
so
when
they could.
when we rented the trailer, we like went to this place that does U-Hauls, and me and our drummer went, and we pulled into the parking lot, and I was like, "This is Twice Told. This is the venue in Oldham County from when I was in middle school."
Holy
And I walked in, and it's like full of antiques. They do like auctions there, but the stage is still there, and it's like a 400 cap room. And I was like,
Why
"Hey man,
not?
this used to be a venue when I was in school." And he was like, "Yeah, I know, I owned it." And I was like, "We're gonna talk." I was
Yeah.
like, "We're gonna talk."
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna,
yeah,
I'm
like,
gonna make you some money.
yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you about guys that sell antiques in Oldham County. They'll do the show for money.
Yeah.
They'll do the show.
What was the main place like way back when in Louisville? Brick House.
I
Yeah.
think that's the name
Brick
of it.
House,
that's
Right.
all the
Now, what
vibes.
was that? That was like a DIY, like all
Brick
ages type
House,
place,
Ear
right?
Ecstasy.
Ecstasy was
That's
did it.
right.
That was
Yeah.
forever.
You all also.
Yo, major points for these dudes. Knowing about Ear Ecstasy, that's old.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
old shit.
Yeah.
That was like I remember when they would have like
It's
shows
Bardstown
inside.
shit right
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Or like
Boydstown Road.
Keswick's
I know Guilt.
Democratic Club.
That's right.
Yeah, the checkered
Keswick's
floor.
was-
That was a good one.
Keswick's was like my first hardcore show.
Oh, wow.
What was your first
Keswick's.
hardcore show?
I think it was 2011
Uh-huh.
or 2012, and it was me. It was like a mixed bill show, and I think it was like a Straight from the Path tour.
Okay.
Wow.
But
Yeah, yeah,
another mistake opened, and Cruel Hand played.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And this was like lock and key Cruel Hand,
Oh,
like
like-
and
Yeah.
so people still were like, "Oh,
And the
Friday Nights
coolest-
is the coolest thing." that's
Right.
ever
Right.
happened."
Right. Oh,
And so
shit.
like,
Okay.
and so
The
like,
coolest thing about this show was that it was raining outside,
Yeah.
so the floor was soaking wet.
Oh,
Everybody
God.
was falling. So before Cruel Hand, they went and got their like personal towels out of their van and laid them all over the pit.
So everything.
And
So
they
people
took-
could dance.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
And I remember like
and I was terrified. It
yeah,
was a terrifying
if you,
set.
If
It
you
was
weren't
very
pitting
scary.
for Cruel Hand at that show, you were like up against the back wall. Like
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna put something out there. This is a theory of mine that I've worked on because literally everyone talks about this. Like, oh, like Slapshot has a song. Slapshot taught. The kids these days wouldn't stand one song in the pits we had back then. Yo, do you think you guys scared of like a bunch of weird like 30 white dudes from Boston like flailing around in 1983? Not really. But my theory is, and people, if you agree, hit me up. You disagree, fucking go to hell. Is that no matter when you got into hardcore, your experience, your first 10, 15, 20 shows, because it's so foreign, it feels like, holy shit, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
just
And
and
then
that's
that
what
history,
makes you want to come
and it makes you
back.
want to come back. But then for shows 20 to 100 or fucking 1,000, it's like, it's old hat, and it's like,
Yeah, but
and then
for-
by the time you're at show 200, you're like, man, you just don't know what it was like back at that
Yeah.
cruel. And I'm not even saying it was. That's an actualized experience. That was your experience with it. You said it like to me, a Cruel Hand show. I'm like, okay,
For
let's go.
me,
for us,
yeah.
I think that that like fear in your stomach. We still get it sometimes.
Yeah,
It's
because
good.
Like,
Yeah.
no, well, no, because like Knocked Loose will do Warped Tour, and there's not a single person at Warped Tour that I'm afraid of, except for like Florida Frank from Hatebreed. So like, so then we do Warped Tour for 2 months, and then we go back home and we go to a show in Spinelli's, and we're like, sick, I'm scared again. Like,
the sublime experience.
So let me expand on your theory. I think that what you said is true, but you become a nerd to wildness and violence.
Yeah,
and
you're
whatever.
totally numb to it.
But and also you hit the point where if it was any further level of violence or wildness, you're just not game for it. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
you
Like,
just tune it out. You're
like-
like, oh, no,
like-
this
like-
is past my threshold.
right. So like, I've never shot dope, but I imagine it's like you're chasing that dragon where it's like, oh, I'd like to be scared again. And then if you are, look, this is not me.
If you're beyond your scared point, when it goes beyond that,
This is
like going to the irate shows
Beyond
in
scared
2000.
straight.
I was like, all right, nah, this isn't. Nope, not interested.
Well, I was gonna say, okay, so this is everybody in the room can see me. I weigh 130 pounds. This is not me being tough. If I walked into a place that I was actually scared, that would mean it's legitimately scary now, and I should leave. I should be out of here.
it's like it's not scary, it's sketchy.
It's legitimately.
Stuff beyond.
The thing
Yeah,
is that coming from a kid who likes scary music,
Yeah.
you know, maybe I wasn't seeing stuff that was that scary, but me living now I wish I
Yeah.
could have gone.
No, and I think
And
you were.
now
You
you're
were
that band that's scary to kids. Which
No,
is
and
awesome.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you
even
this.
if it's not.
Your
Yeah,
experience
it
at
is.
that,
no matter what it is.
and your experience
Yeah.
at that show, and even at newer shows, that is as real as the dude who's telling you about.
Like,
Oh, you don't know.
I saw
Earth
someone
Crisis
murdered-
shows in
yeah.
Syracuse. Oh
Right.
man. Oh, these
because
crazy
people are
things.
talking about it the same way.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
the same language. It's the same
Dude,
vernacular.
videos don't do it justice.
And it's an equalizer. And if
course.
you're an old person listening right now and you disagree with me, check yourself,
You're wrong.
because you're really you're putting it through the video. And I get it. There's definitely a sliding scale on that.
There
But,
is.
Come on.
There is. Like when you talk to like, there was that.
But there's a dude out there who will say, yeah, the Cro-Mag show in '87 was crazier than the Demise show in '92. But
I
maybe
think
at
that
one of
also-
them they had guns,
And
and,
to
the
me,
other
it's
one
like-
they didn't.
Well, I
Wow,
think that
wish
also
I could have been in either.
right. Me too. Me
I
too.
think that also circles back to the like negative divide between old and young. Like if shows are as scary as you make them, like if, like always complaining about how like things used to be, like
Then
things
mosh.
change every day.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
like
Yeah. Or stay home and let us do our thing. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean, right, young
exactly.
people?
Yeah.
granted, like Louisville's not a very scary place.
No, so real quick, I know a part of Louisville that we're not talking about is that Louisville, I think for people of a certain age, stands out the most for a completely different type of music than what you guys play.
Yes.
For a minute, it was all about this like too many amps, like really guitar-y.
Oh, yeah.
There
I'm
is-
pre that
and
shit.
No,
I don't like
no,
that.
it still exists.
Okay.
It
Oh, all
still
right.
exists. For sure.
Coliseum and stuff. Like
yeah.
Coliseum, Lords, all that sort of shit.
That
I'm
shit-
trying to think of
I'm thinking like by the grace
one,
of God.
a dude.
Yeah, I
By the
think
grace of God.
I think about the grace of God, all the like Duncan Barlow bands.
Yeah, the endpoint.
Guilt.
So yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about that shit. That's the one I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
with
all the
Louisville.
doomy stuff is like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried. I
I
really
had a-
did. I like guitar
When
music.
I was in
but-
high school, I had a teacher that played in one of those like 30,000 amp bands. And the thing is, a lot of those dudes started out, you know, in the hardcore scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Almost
then
all
grew
of them.
All
up,
of
and
them,
then
yeah.
like what you were
I
talking
call it
earlier.
like
Black
coffee.
shirt.
I call it coffee hardcore.
Yeah, yeah, the coffee shop,
They-
or
they-
like bar.
they have, like-
bartender.
they have-
stuff.
Bartender hardcore, fuck.
Oh yeah, you guys do. You just named that.
Yeah,
that's
that's
real.
accurate.
Bartender core.
It had a doorman hardcore at one point.
Yo, all coffee hardcore has Jane Doe tattoos.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. That's real.
Exactly.
All right, so let's do this. Let's go back because Louisville to me, there was some early '80s shit or mid '80s that is just kind of like not on radar.
Like King Horse and stuff, or like, or
like,
even after that.
they kind of have to like early '80s, like
Being
'80s
Kindles?
and yeah, like huh?
Being Kindles.
No, that's
No, that-
90s.
that's
Oh,
Once you
okay.
hit 90, once you hit endpoint, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some of that
Endpoint
stuff.
is where like I hop.
I think that's where
hop on,
Louisville kind of
you know.
starts. That's like if by all somebody could point and like the way people are like, well, what about the Gizmos from Indianapolis? It's like no. That's
Endpoint was Louisville.
Endpoint was the
Yeah.
starting point for relevance.
Right.
And I was talking to a friend who was super down with all that stuff, And he's like, and I'm like, yo, In a Time of Hate, I got that when I was young. I really like it. I like that 6-minute straight edge song that like goes through this slow part. It's like, what is it? Why did you have to drink? Oh, this fight. I could sing the whole fucking thing, but it's like, and he's like, have you listened to that in a few years? I'm like, not in a few years.
Yeah.
And he said, it hasn't aged well. I'm like, oh, okay. But like, there's some good shit there for me. But by the grace of God, I really fuck with.
Absolutely.
That like early, I mean, that was obviously before both of us because we're younger, but like I very much went through like my like history phase where I would just like try to dig
and check out old shit.
Yeah. And so like all the By the Grace of God, Guilt, Endpoint and Kindles, like all that stuff. And now we're lucky enough to be friends with Tommy Brown from By the Grace of God.
Yeah.
Because of he's in that band Miracle Drug with Bricks, and like
Sick band.
just picking his brain, just punishing him.
Quick plug. By the Grace of God is playing a show a week after we get home.
With
both of my
Inclination.
bands are playing.
And you're going to play. That's kind of cool.
Which is
Inclination
cool.
and By
So
the
which
Grace
is
of
a
God
really
at
big
Spinelli's.
deal. Which is a really big deal.
You want to go down road trip?
Rob Pennington's my boy.
I know. I actually so
Which is
it's
They
a
just brought
really
out a
big
new
deal.
record.
Yeah,
it's just
it's
It's a
great.
really
they have a
big
new
deal.
record. They did one. So I mean, to me, it's the first EP.
Who has a new record?
By the
By
Grace
the
of
Grace
God.
of God.
It got
God.
sent to us, but you don't check
in
the email. So
2018.
Who has a new record?
BTGOG.
Yeah.
I feel like they still belong.
So
They belong for us.
Yeah.
and that's what
A lot of
matters.
people.
You know.
I mean, for you guys,
Well, they still like
24-year-old.
like under the radar play every now and then. I mean, like
Right.
probably 4 or 5 years ago, them and Endpoint played a show in Louisville, and it was like
Right.
And those dudes are they're not necessarily around, but they're not
Tommy,
not around.
Tommy is.
Well,
very
Tommy
much.
is.
Tommy is at every single all the Miracle
All
Drug
the
dudes
Miracle
are
Drug
every-
dudes
Every-
so aware and
Of
just
it.
so
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the way
it's
they
cool.
carry themselves as a band is like insane because like from us, who's like they're from before our time, and then circling back around, and we're looking at them like, oh my God, you played a Mouthpiece, you played in By the Grace of God, you played in Super Touch, and like, and
Do you
then
guys
Bricks
fuck-
from
yeah.
CR.
Yeah.
But they came in and were like, no, we're new, we're the first
I
band on the
saw-
show, we want to play every show we can. They opened for my 15-year-old brother's band. And
Amazing.
and
What's that
acted
band?
like it was their first show ever. He was in a band called Street Rat. They're no longer a
Okay.
band, but
All right. Quick question for you.
Good name.
So we talked about this idea, and we're going to go deep on this at some point. Old man bands, and we divide it. There's good old man bands, GOMs, and bad old man bands, bombs.
okay.
You guys are qualifying Miracle Drug as a good old man band.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I saw. Also, quick plug for Bricks. I saw Bricks mosh to a band like last year.
He's
And
got
sang-
good style.
Still
And that-
moshes.
yeah, dude,
I've grown
still
up with that
moshes.
dude. He's got a style.
He's like
yeah,
a yoga
dude
teacher
rocks.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
he's like also
With a name like Bricks, having never seen him, I expected a bigger dude. Is he not?
No.
The funny story is
Dude's intense.
his name is Bryan Cavallone.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
but
I
like,
feel like I didn't even know.
I
that.
did.
yeah. So like that's how I
I
knew
thought
him.
it was Bricks.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
like-
Bricks.
I ripped that, like he was the dude that I ripped off as a kid
Oh yeah, you stole his
because he was
style.
in this band called Fallacy before CR,
Oh.
and like Indecision completely ripped them off. Like no one knows that because they were.
You're
from
just
Staten
outing
Island.
yourself right now.
I don't give a shit.
By the way,
That's how I like it.
just
Good
Yeah.
little plug. Nobody knows that because they're from Staten Island.
yeah,
Yeah,
I no
exactly.
disrespect.
Staten
That's
Island.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And but he was Bryan Cavallone forever, and then like his name is actually now Bricks Avalon.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So like when I call like him Brian, because that's how I knew him for 20-something years, he kind of was like my name's Bricks, dude.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, come on.
and I always feel
This is-
bad.
this is
like,
real.
come
That's my
on,
name.
like,
man. My name is Bricks now.
But yo, here's the
Like,
thing.
Muhammad Ali style. You gotta
Yeah.
respect it.
We hit out. I feel bad because I known Patrick for too long, and he wants me to call Patrick. I'll call him Patrick. He can tell me
The
call me
crazy
Barbara
thing
Ann. I
about-
call him Barbara Ann.
No,
Whatever.
listen.
The craziest thing to me about Miracle Drug, which is a big reason why I think that they're a good old man band. First of all, I do legitimately enjoy their music, but for being such a like, they're just hardcore. They barely have anything that you can mosh to, but they are perceived so well with the youngest generation of kids in Louisville.
You have
Like when
Good.
they play,
children.
when they
Yeah.
play,
Oh,
it's
you're
like
into it.
Yes.
14, 15-year-old kids
Which is great,
piling
yeah.
up to sing
know
along.
the lyrics.
And I was like,
moshing.
and it's crazy because
That
when I was
doesn't happen with
14
a
and
bad old man
15,
band.
I needed mosh parts. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right,
I
right.
couldn't listen to a band like that. That was just like, I mean, there was a couple exceptions, of course, but like young kids ride so hard for Miracle
riding
Drug
on
in
it. It's
Louisville,
awesome.
and
and
it's because
vice
of how
versa,
they
too,
carried
which is
themselves.
so fucking cool.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like we were going, he and I were going back and forth about you guys, and he was just like going on, like,
Yeah.
And it's not like hey, you know, like I have to be nice to these dudes because it's like
No.
they're the fucking thing. Like
No.
he like legitimately like loves and
You
respects
could
you guys
ask
so
him about
much. Like
every single
band,
good or bad band from Louisville, and he
And
would
he's-
know everything.
Yeah.
All right, so because I want to talk about By the Grace of God for a minute, but yeah, you had laughing.
This is the most By the Grace of God conversation.
I know. We're gonna talk about because
I
I
have to
was
step
growing
out
up in
and
New
use the
Jersey. Go for it. Yeah, go do your thing. He doesn't want to talk about By the Grace of God.
Yeah.
But perspective, I really fuck with. The LP
For the
is
Love
the
of
one.
Indie Rock?
For the Love of Indie Rock, I like.
I
You can
love
come
that.
back. Go pee.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Keep
Well, hold
talking.
Do you
But-
fuck with the Enkindles?
No, I
Do you
tried.
fuck with the Enkindles?
No, not
No,
really
I
my
never
thing.
did either. I
It's
tried.
not really my
I
thing.
wanted to because I liked some of the other stuff because the band Automatic was dudes from the Enkindles.
Which
If
is
you
now
heard
a-
the band Automatic.
Yes,
Do you fuck with that?
I haven't heard enough
Okay.
to fuck with.
We got to give you those first 2 EPs by Automatic are fucking excellent.
And that dude is
It's,
in Miracle Drug.
Yes, it's
Right,
self-titled. It's Matt. It's the guy who was in Mouthpiece, but they did a self-titled 7-inch, is like a blue cover with a kid riding a bike or a tricycle. That's really good. Then they did his second 7-inch on Indecision called Crossing Kill Creek, I think.
Yeah.
And that record's good. They did a third record on a European label, maybe Reflections, and it's not as good. But those first 2 EPs are awesome. They're melodic. They're like super melodic.
Yeah.
Sort of like Can I Say era Dag Nasty, but a little like that meets the A side of the Turning Point LP.
Wow.
Okay, something
which
like that.
is awesome.
There you go. So
Were they on
But-
Initial too? Initial Records?
the first single is, yep. Yeah, big. So would you feel a way if I told you, or if I was like, yo, I wouldn't have jumped off and assumed that you guys dug into Louisville hardcore? Or if I was like, yo, I bet the overall perception of you guys is you don't dig into the old shit.
Are you saying that you assumed that we wouldn't?
Well, let's
Or
say
you
the public, like like dudes from the band Knocked Loose. What would they know about old bands from Louisville? If there was just, would that be a bummer to you?
No, I mean, like, no, because I feel like not many people know about Louisville hardcore at all.
Yeah,
Anyway,
right.
like, there's dudes that
But-
are huge into like New York shit.
Oh,
They'll be
yeah.
like, I don't fucking know.
Totally
who
right.
Guilt
Louisville's
is.
not like, but
Right,
like the
right.
idea that like, regardless where you were from, like whatever, you could be Texas, Florida, but it'd be like, oh, they aren't the kind of band that I would have assumed looked back at the roots of the shit that went on where they were from.
Right, because there's New York bands that don't look back
there's
on
tons of
New York
bands
bands.
that
You know
don't.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
Like,
Are you saying that it would upset me if someone
Would it be
told me
lame?
that?
Would you be like, fuck you, man? Like, no. Okay.
That wouldn't piss me off.
Okay.
I mean, I would say if they were ever come up to me and have a conversation, I'd be like, yes, I do, and yes, you should check out some of
That's
it
right.
because it's pretty cool.
I think there's way worse things said about our band. Than
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
So that's why
Dude,
it's
they
like,
don't
that's like
li-
some little shit.
Dude,
huh?
they don't listen to Louisville
Yeah,
hardcore.
but-
Bummer.
I do,
you know, like
Good point.
I do think that for like my generation of hardcore kids and like younger ones, I do think that like research is very important because like hardcore is changing all the time, and like people are like opening up new avenues for hardcore that you never thought would happen. I mean, like Code Orange was nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah.
So like that exposed them to so many people that like they'll hear Code Orange and they need to know why they sound the way they do.
Yeah,
Right,
and do
right.
they wear it enough on their sleeve, like the
hardcore?
reference, like Code Orange? This is a good comment for Pat. Do they wear their influences enough on their sleeves? Because to be honest,
know.
they like kind of they also live on their own island, in
Right.
terms of like they have such a tight aesthetic. Like you guys might present more hardcore than they do, which is a weird thing
I
to
would
say.
agree.
I feel like they talk about it a lot.
Do they?
yeah, but I don't know if there is like,
And I'm asking from a point of ignorance. I'm just asking.
yeah,
you know
like
what
I mean, like they like would open like a disembodied intro,
okay, yeah.
but that's about
But
it.
that's like slight reference. You know what I mean?
Right, like
you
I
know.
think you dudes like rep hardcore.
Like if you guys were
Yeah.
opening with a fucking By the Grace of God intro, like 0.5 people would know what the fuck is
Exactly.
going on.
Yeah.
You know?
Bob would definitely mosh though.
No, I wouldn't. I got kicked out of the Troc for moshing for By the Grace of God.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is even more reason for you guys to come down and see the show.
Okay. So and I'm a dude. As these dudes like to bust my balls, I'm like a floor punch dude more. But like, I also saw no reason not to like By the Grace of God because those dudes beefed.
I know,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like a lot of people that like ride so hard for Floor Punch don't know about that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and like I like the Louisville bands, but I still think that's sick. Like I like Floor Punch.
Yeah, sure.
I love Floor Punch.
But like the song "The Answer" is about like
It's about
their beef.
yeah,
their beef,
definitely.
their
Yeah,
fight.
no, and I mean, and really, like if you ask the dude, he's like, yeah, I mean, that dude called me a Nazi fuck you. Like,
Right.
he's like, no, you're,
Yeah,
not gonna,
exactly.
you're not gonna call me a Nazi and think that's okay, you know?
Yeah.
But at
Like,
the
and
time,
I think
They were writing about what was relevant.
and I think that song is cool because he like it's Porter, props, man. You're like a self-reflective artist here, like a poet. But he was reflecting. He's like, yeah, like that's not a dude who thinks it's okay to just walk up to whoever and punch him in the face.
Yeah, he says that in
exactly.
the song.
You know, that's the thing. And I always took that as like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, like
that was such a
than people
big
give.
thing back then.
It was huge.
Like that would probably go by in like
Whispered
3
about.
days today.
No, yeah, it was whispered out, talked about, like, oh,
Yeah.
It was
by the
to
grace
write
of
a
God.
song about something,
Right.
I feel like that is like holy
Shit,
fucking
right?
shit.
But there was like 5 things like that back then.
And a song
Oh,
as
yeah.
good as that song.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's,
Right.
it's
I'm
a great track.
I'm a Louisville head. That's my favorite 4-punch song.
yeah, exactly.
That's cool. So yeah, Louisville. Is there? All right. So there's a question, just for anyone out there who's listening to hardcore. What is one Louisville record you like? Yo, this is the one I want you to check out from any time frame. So whatever that would be to you that you say, and each of you guys get an answer. So you get 2.
I'm gonna say, just because for me, I'm gonna say, not an old guy thing, and I'm gonna say "Lies for Lust" by
Same.
Another Mistake.
Okay.
Same.
And he's
And you're
gonna
both
say
going
the
for
same
that.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that is.
Sell me on that because I've never heard it.
It sounds like Carry On,
Sounds like here.
and it's just hardcore.
Super personal lyrics.
Every song means something. Every song is like an important message, and it's just like I see that resonating with a younger kid a lot more than I do like a By the Grace of God.
Yeah.
I think that would be like an after.
Yeah. After
Like-
that, once you get through, this is like the next.
So I just came back because when we started talking about By the Grace of God,
You got nothing for that conversation?
Like I just went to the bathroom and came back because that does nothing. To be honest, Louisville has no history that I really care about.
You never have you? When's the last time you heard the seminal, the quote unquote seminal By the Grace of God
It's
record?
probably been 5 years.
You
10
should
years.
check that Perspective record.
So, I mean, was Initial from Louisville or did I make that up?
Yes.
Okay, so that was a
Big.
that was a big thing, and I always felt adjacent to it because my band has never been. We've always played hardcore shows, but never been hard, and that's always been kind of where Initial was at the time, right?
I feel like that's a theme in Louisville sometimes.
No, I mean because even with the endpoint stuff, like they were always considered like a little more thoughtful. I guess. That's
absolutely.
The nice way,
Yeah.
the nice way to say it is thoughtful.
Yeah.
The poke way is to say soft.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
but,
exactly.
But what's interesting is that like that was supposed to be for me, and just wasn't. You know what I mean? Like,
We're gonna
Dagger.
oh, but that's
that's
Philly,
Philly
stuff.
shit.
Initial, they were
They
initial.
were
They were
Initial.
initial.
No, there was a connection there.
Which, by the way, if for anybody that hasn't revisited that
the classic Ink and Dagger records
holy
are classic.
God, it's good.
Yeah,
like
Drive This is
oh
so good.
my God.
I'm glad you've revisited because that's just
I've
fucking
always,
great.
I've always liked it, but like. I went and gave it like you know what, I haven't listened
Knocking
to
on
this in
Your
probably 5
Window.
years,
That's
and
so good.
And fuck, I remembered why all my friends that didn't like hardcore music, that was
Fucked
the
with
one
that.
record of mine that they all really liked.
You know who loves Ink and Dagger? My Chemical Romance.
I'm sure.
We just had the first
Let's
physical.
start that
Tom
podcast,
just broke
dude.
Pat's
Yeah, let's
arm.
do it.
I'm sure My Chemical Romance likes comfortable toilet seats and good food like I do too. That doesn't make them cool.
You guys are bros now, so
Yeah.
So you're saying Ink and Dagger, but
No, but I'm saying the actual Louisville stuff. So
no, we're at some point we're gonna do the cross section. It's been requested that we do the cross section of your background because you end up being fucking the Riddler, Edward Enigma on these dudes because your real background came from a heavy point and limited exposure. Like me and Tom gave our backgrounds. You didn't have older dudes around who were like, "Hey, man,
No,
you should check." Not in a nice way, right?
No, there's no older. I mean, to be honest, in Albany, the older dudes were largely dicks or not around. To be honest,
Right.
like
At that time, there was some vacancy going on.
There was, and not to say like when I first started going to shows, clearly things were popping. There, everybody was older than me. There was definitely older dudes, but it wasn't long until that sort of shook out, and there wasn't a ton of older dudes at all.
And there weren't the older dudes who were going around and be like, "Hey, yeah, that's a cool shirt. You like this?
fuck
Oh, I saw you
no.
doing this." No. So that's why this dude's got that salty, like, man, fuck everyone, mean streak to him because he really did have to crawl and scratch to be into this crawl and scratch world.
Still doesn't like Age of Quarrel.
So
We're working on it.
what we're saying is he should listen to Another Mistake.
There you go. All right. Good segue. Great job. You're a co-host.
So
Yeah, I know. You have the best voice of anyone who's been on the show so far.
so while I'm
Thank you so much.
while I'm just being a villain, another mistake,
Yeah, go villain. He's going full
It's
evil.
just
He's got the
another
goatee.
mistake's just straightforward hardcore.
Also,
but what does that mean? It's,
You can mosh to it, you can
so
sing
in
to
my
it.
head, another mistake sounds like American Nightmare and was in the vein. Is that
They
true?
sound like Carry On.
But to me and
Same,
Pat,
same.
Carry On sounds like American Nightmare.
Okay.
Same.
then yes. Then
Yeah.
yes.
No, it's
Did they go on to anything else?
Another mistake. The singer sings for Inclination.
okay. So no, another mistake.
And another band called Constraint. From
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've talked about them too.
Exactly.
Another mistake I would, as not having heard them, I'm gonna say their song structures are a la Carry On, much more strict to, much more hardcore. Whereas AN didn't always have classical breakdowns. It might be something you could really fuck with.
It's moshier than American Nightmare for sure.
Okay.
And also another reason, like when you asked that question, me and him were like looking at each other and we were like,
You knew
smiling
what
at
you were
each
gonna
other
say,
because that was our first like, oh, we used to mosh to that.
That's the
We
record.
used to stage dive to that.
Yeah.
That record means a lot to us. That was our first Louisville hardcore
That's
record.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So like
That
that's
and then like there's another band called Written Off. That
Oh,
was
yeah,
like an
Written
early
Off.
one for me.
a bunch of it. There was a band called Damaged Goods. There's a band called Ill Advised that was doing like razzle dazzle, like kind of
Yeah.
like
The
that
party
shit.
stuff.
Yeah.
That,
Kinda
that, is,
like
that is
lighthearted.
truly ill-advised.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And you get it, yeah.
You guys fuck with Elliot at all? Not to go to go non-hardcore.
I never really did.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't really either, but working at Revelation.
There's other non-hardcore Louisville stuff, like Breathe or Resist. I
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
like-
I like that.
That-
Elliot's Song in the Air is a big deal record to a lot of people. And
Yep.
the thing I want to say is that Chris Higdon, I don't know if he's around or if you guys are, but he actually does good recordings for shit. He recorded our friends in the band Gracer. Man, for a dude who records the most mellow ambient music, that dude got like some aggro. He was like going
kills
off
it.
on some. No, he was just like he had to get on the phone one day with me. I was like, oh shit, all right.
What band? I mean, what band
He's
did he
done
do
bands.
after that? He did. There's a more current band.
I
that he's
can't.
in.
I don't
Fuck,
know.
I can't
Yeah,
remember.
but he does.
But I
He's
fuck
still
with
in.
Elliot. Those
yeah.
are all hardcore dudes too.
Yeah, exactly. They were from
all
that same world.
By the
same,
grace of God, Endpoint
Pennington, yeah.
Days, and yeah.
Breathe or Resist would be an example of a band that used too many cabs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
No,
That's
they might
that's
be
right.
bartender.
There's a lot.
There's a
They
lot
might be
more people
bartender
that
core,
like
but not
them.
coffee core.
That,
I
there's
like
a lot
them
more,
a lot more than Coliseum.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Coliseum is an interesting thing because Coliseum shout out to Peterson. That was like willing yourself into the public sphere
Yes.
where it was always musically maybe a niche small thing and there didn't have a ton of fans but was a thing, at least in the way people talked about it, because Patterson just like fucking, you know, like,
Well, and he was around for enough time and knew enough people that he really made a presence with that, and they went for it, and they kind of were like, well, we like the shit like From Ashes Rise and Tragedy, but we're not that, but we're kind of adjacent to that. When they very first started, they put their first record out on Dead Air / Manic Ride Records, which had done like Tear It Up
Right.
and
Yeah.
thrash stuff, but it was like, oh, you know, I like this, and then I think they went right to maybe like Relapse or something kind of bigger.
so they're it's quiet as it's kept. Coliseum had a really good beginning. And the Death Wish like EP is actually in a totally different direction, also really good.
You're saying you like it.
Yeah, but it's soft in the middle, and that's
And I think the biggest problem was they just never had the draw. Their name as a band and their shirts were a lot more out there.
They were a shirt band.
I
Than
mean,
they
their
were
record,
actually.
you can find a Coliseum record in almost every single record store,
Yeah,
and that's not necessarily because they're
more Bart's
distributed well.
Yeah.
It's just that it's been there since.
It's been sitting.
You know what I mean?
There's bands too now that are like, there's even more recent bands that even like that's a whole scene now. Like there's this band called like Young Widows.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
About them.
Okay, another thing. Young Widows, so everybody shit on them as being a Jesus Lizard rip when they started, but they have a record about the guy's divorce that is slow and sad and excellent. I think it's called In and Out of Light.
That was
Have you
my
listened?
high school teacher's band. He was like, "Oh, I play in a band." So when I was really funny because he'd like see me like listening to like Mastodon one day or something. She'd be like, "Oh, that dude, we're gonna be friends now."
But everybody check that out. The Young Widows, I could take it or leave it, except for that record.
What's the
which
record called
I
again?
think it's called In and Out of Youth or In and Out of Light. It's
Okay,
it is
It'll be in the notes.
deeply upsetting divorce record.
Sounds like I would like it.
Yeah, I feel like this Louisville episode of the show is so many different styles because
Yeah.
Louisville has so much different shit. Just
You
like
fuck with Black Cross? Was that like the band? Was that Black Cross?
I found
By the Grace
yeah,
Black
yeah.
Cross
Yeah,
is
yeah.
with
Rob
Pennington's,
after.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
found
I don't
them,
fuck with that.
I found them recently, and I like it.
Yeah.
But it was like
Art
a-
Offensive or something. It was
Yeah,
like
I
a
didn't-
They did a record on EVR. I wanted to like it because
My
I felt
friend
like
got
it just didn't.
gifted like a Black Cross shirt, and like he was stoked, and I was like,
That's when I.
I'd never
first
heard
saw
of
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I
never
like
heard
looked it
on
up.
Check
And
See that's interesting because it wasn't it's totally conceivable that you wouldn't have heard of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Absolutely.
yeah,
thing,
see, to
but-
us, like like stuff like that nobody else in the fucking world cares about. Like if it's Louisville, we like hold it very close. Like I like got a By the Grace of God shirt, and the guy was like, "Yeah, $20," and I was like, "Only 20?"
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think I could find you some probably Grace of God
Yeah,
shirts for
that's what I'm
He was
15
like,
bucks.
well, I was using it to clean my car, but
Yeah.
But $20 sounds great.
And I found like I found it in Kindle's 7-inch when they were called the Kindles.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
How
and,
us
like,
old
there's,
fuckers
like,
still refer to them.
There's 16-year-old Tommy Brown on the back, and like it was like their first record
All
ever.
of these bands are like Miracle Drug,
Related.
showing
and I
us,
said I was saying him
showing
was the
everybody
band
in Louisville
Automatic,
these bands.
well,
which I
it's,
think Tommy Brown was
it
in.
Oh,
seems
okay, I've
like
never heard that band.
Miracle Drug is all the over 40s who still go to shows started like they're all in the same band. Is that accurate?
It's
Yeah.
also very important. Like
It's
they're
like
like
all-
the most important Louisville.
So that's
band.
actually kind of cool to hear because I'm not gonna lie, I would have assumed that they were just old man band, and I'm not trying to place
No.
them one way or the other. You're saying they're important and they're relevant.
They're
and
important.
hot.
They're
Yeah.
relevant. They play the shows. They always
They're
roll out
active.
to shows.
Yeah, they go to every show.
Cool.
They know they can like name. They could be here talking about.
And
the new Day by Day
they're in our
record.
comments. They're active. We
Yeah, yeah.
we see you. Thank you, Miracle Drug.
Shout out to those dudes.
Yeah.
I had heard
Still
for the
killing
sport.
it.
I'd heard those dudes were active, but I didn't know they were active.
They're active.
That's
Yeah.
something.
I mean, you see, they're on any kind of those, like all the Louisville shows. They
Yeah.
play like a lot of the fests out there. Like they played.
They
Flyover
played This
Fest,
Is
right?
Hardcore as well.
They did.
They're going.
Yeah, they
on,
played
They're
Flyover.
going
Right.
on tour.
I
Yeah.
like the way that you said that, like
Yeah.
40-year-old.
No,
Yeah.
going
but
on
that's
tour.
but like there's the cool thing for a 20-year-old band
Yeah.
for a band full of 20-year-olds to
And
do
they're
now
doing
is
it.
to not tour.
Yes,
So to see them going on tour is just like you are the coolest.
All right, so
thing in the
let's
world.
use this as an opportunity to take a left. You guys tour like beasts still, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think our goal for next year is to learn how to say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that we don't like it. We very much love touring, but like we're very afraid that we're just gonna like
You're gonna burn out.
beat America
yeah.
to death.
And you know what's cool? You fly to California and play a couple shows. That's where you go.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Well, like from the Midwest, we make fun of those bands.
no,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. Yeah,
like,
these are
like
the,
oh, you spent all that money on flights when you could have played shows all the way to the West Coast.
Yeah,
like,
Exactly.
no offense,
Just
but-
because just because we did that forever and now
Yeah.
it's like just as you're about to bring up now it's we have this thing where we talk about it all the time. It's like I feel like bands are afraid of playing bad shows
yeah.
Oh,
or
absolutely.
playing shows, whereas like for us that was like it doesn't matter if it's bad.
played
it's
a
just
lot of bad
playing
So
them
shows.
so
in
yeah, that's a good.
That was
I'm-
the question. I was going to ask.
You were
the
gonna ask?
turnstile question.
Yeah, so Turnstile, we kind of hit those dudes, and we'll get them, and a couple of those dudes will give us some bullshit, like, oh no, we played some bad shows. Did Turnstile ever play a bad show? We're asking somebody in the room who could answer. See, he can't answer. No, that's not true. They haven't. They haven't.
He's smiling.
They haven't. Yeah.
well,
Bad, like 15 kids. No, see,
We played
You
in a-
guys have played 15 kids.
We
One
played
time
that
we
on
played
a
in a-
regular basis.
One time we played in the basement of this kid's house, and like we showed up, and he said, "Yeah, I just got the keys for the basement today. We've never been in it." So he opens up this basement, and it's filthy. We played to maybe 15 kids. Sold our merch in their living room. Left the show, and we were at like a McDonald's or something, and we went to blow my nose, and nothing but like black
yeah.
shit came out of my nose, and like we were just sneezing black shit for like 3 days.
We
Like,
drove-
none of these
We-
fest bands have ever done.
We
that.
drove like 12 hours to play what we were told was like a house party deal. And then we show up and it's 5 kids smoking a joint around a TV
that didn't have a microphone.
that didn't have a microphone.
Depending on what part of the country that is, I think that's technically a party.
Yeah, exactly.
North Carolina.
North
No,
Carolina.
yeah.
So,
Technically a party.
so, and then I remember it
Oh, you
because-
mean that part of Ohio that somehow shifted closer to the coast?
Yeah, I remember that show very, very well
No diss,
because
North
there
Carolina.
was no mic, and we played to 5 kids, and then 3 of them left. So the other band I was on tour with played to 2 kids.
Oh,
We sold one
We did.
homemade patch at that show.
We did sell a patch.
So to give you, so that people know, because somebody tried to come at me and be like, oh, because I said some story about like hardcore 98, 99, that was pretty rough. I went to see the Mob, New York Mob,
Yeah.
and they were playing with Awkward Thought and a couple other bands
so
in
like
Central Jersey.
sevens of people.
5 people,
5.
because we all came in the same car. At the M&M Hall in Old Bridge. And
wow,
that's in New
okay.
Jersey, Central New Jersey. So shit ebbs and flows, but yeah, like
Well, another
I think
thing-
it's hard for people who are on the coast to understand what like
Well,
a beat show can be like in the middle of the country.
another thing that I would like to say is that we still have bad shows.
That's
like,
a
it
lie.
just happened.
You're
buy it.
lying. We don't
What's
believe
bad
you.
now?
Jean Quier.
yeah,
Canada.
Jean-Pierre Canada.
Tell what that is.
So what's
the,
that like?
the C
That's
Market
like-
Canada.
That's
tour.
like the furthest north of French Canada. There was maybe 40 paid.
That's a glamorous show. That's a luxury show. You know what I
You
mean?
can say you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's playing Alaska.
I'm also going to say that while that's not a great show, I think that that's the biggest show Jean Queer has
Yeah.
ever had.
Yo, were the kids psyched? The 40 or no? Because that's
We
going to be
sold-
the decider.
We sold 2 CDs. We made $10 at that
If
show.
the-
Did
they
anyone
were- if-
move? Did anyone dance? Or
I
mosh?
don't remember.
I don't
really.
remember.
I
I
try
don't
to
f-
black it out.
I don't think so.
No,
but
but
at the
when
same
was that?
time, if those 2 kids were psyched, then I back it.
Lubbock,
When-
Texas. Lubbock, Texas.
When was that Canada show?
That was last fall. Very recent.
Okay, Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock, Texas. Like, we've had
So-
good shows there, but we've also had very bad shows there. Like it's like people see what we did last night, which was like a very, very huge milestone for this
And so
band.
for anyone who's listening, this isn't coming out tomorrow. These dudes just played the Palladium in Worcester, Mass, which is a place that does hardcore shows with some regularity, but most of the time it's upstairs in the small room. These motherfuckers just crushed the downstairs.
Right. The hardcore shows that play the downstairs usually last shows.
1,500 cap, which that's like
sold out.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
wild.
Sorry, but yeah, sold out.
That's cool.
Quick high five.
Yeah,
High five,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh! So that's cool. But yo, like
Yeah, but
that
it's
felt
not-
like something for you. That was a milestone.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I cried.
incredibly, yeah.
I
You
actually
cried.
cried.
Insane.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Was that the biggest headlining show you've done?
Hands down.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is we keep saying like this is our first official headlining tour.
Sure.
Because this is the first headlining tour we've done since we weren't DIY. When we were like very DIY, it was like we were on the road and we'd play with a local band and we'd be like, "You're cool. You want to go on tour next month?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." So like,
Right.
this is like our first official headlining tour, and yeah, last night was something that we argued against because we just didn't think
You didn't want to do downstairs.
We were
Yeah.
we were asked it before the tour, and the initial thought was
No.
no.
Yeah.
And then like once upstairs sold out, we were like, eh. And then it was like, okay, we're not even considering it unless there's no barricade.
Yeah.
And then
Which that was a big deal. I saw that.
Yeah.
I
Which
saw the
is sick.
photos.
And then
Yeah.
they
which is
said yes.
wild.
they agreed
That's
to it.
wild.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it was amazing. Like
Mhm.
it was so awesome. But the point I'm trying to make is like it's not 1,500 people everywhere.
No.
It's just not. Like but that makes you appreciate the 1,500 show cuz like
Because you've done the 15 people shows.
yeah,
and
you have bands
5
that,
people shows.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't even dude, it's not even like that stuff was the 15 people show. It wasn't like it was 10 years ago for
Yeah.
us. That was like
yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah,
So
right.
for us, like it's still recent
yeah,
in our
Still
memory.
feel it.
And you
Yeah.
have like everything's like very this tour has been very fast paced for like
Mhm.
me personally because like me and Isaac sat down with a list of the cities and we wrote down every single local band we wanted to play. We also like we made sure that like we sat down with our team and made sure that the local bands don't start until an hour after doors so that people can be there to watch our friends play.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah.
This is so Drug Church opens a lot of shows as support, and there's nothing more irritating in life.
Yeah.
15 minutes after doors.
But the opener
Especially
of
at the sold out show.
Holy fuck!
but the opener of our tour is a band called Year of the Knife from Delaware, a band that
You've been hearing us talk about them.
Yeah, I back them so hard. and I
Everyone
want
should
them
listen to that band.
And
Shout
I
out
want them
Tyler.
to play with
Tyler
in
Mon.
front of as many people as they can. So you have a local that plays an hour after doors, and then you have the first band of the tour. So like,
Yesterday,
me and him have tried to be very hands-on when it comes to this tour because like we wanted it to go a very specific way, like no barricades, our friends, like our rules, like we like say what you want about our band, but we try to carry ourselves with like hardcore ethics. And I forgot the point that I was trying to make.
No, that was a good point.
But here's the thing, and it's just like yesterday, we were sitting. I'm like sitting in Palladium, downstairs, a place that I never thought I would be playing in the first place, watching Year of the Knife play to 1,000 people.
Right.
And I want to cry there.
And
Yeah.
in
Like,
a market,
it's, like,
honestly, in a
crazy.
market that like it's hard to crack mass.
That
you know?
that's what I was gonna say. Like, the tour's been so fast paced because like I want to see every local. I want to see every single band on our show. I want to fucking stage dive for terror, and then I have to play.
Yeah.
And then it's our first time headlining, so when we're done, we pack up and leave. It's no like get our stuff out of the way, sit in the green room, and like wait for the headliner to be done and recollect your thoughts. It's like you gotta go.
It's go, go, go.
And like
the whole
we're
time.
very late, so we do most of our drives overnight so that we don't have to worry about getting to the show late. So the whole tour's been so fast paced that like I haven't really gotten to like digest, like I've tried to, but like digest like how well it's gone. Like there's only been 2 shows that haven't sold out.
Right.
The entire out of 36.
Which shows? Do you remember?
Seattle and Salt Lake City.
And like the crazy one of the first time when the tour really hit was you guys played Denver, and the
Yeah.
photos from that show looked
Yeah.
fucking outrageous.
Yeah,
crazy.
that
It
was
was
the
crazy.
first like big one
It was
because
a
the tour
theater
the
Yeah.
tour has
Yeah.
ranged
show.
like the tour has ranged from 200 cap rooms to 1,500 cap rooms
Yeah.
and everything in between. So like that was the first like big one. That was like 750, I think. Yeah, like last night, no matter how fast paced it was, like we hit a moment in our set where I like zoned out and I was like, this is bigger than I could have ever dreamed of it being.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, nobody can take that moment away. And,
No.
like, it was just very, like, last night I think it all kind of hit me. And it was, like, mid-set. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to start crying. Like,
Yeah.
You know what you got to do now? Be a dick.
retire.
No, yo, I don't. You know what's funny? I don't think these dudes have the dick gene.
I would be a dick.
Yeah, this dude would. But that's why he's.
We're a dick. We're
When
dick.
he went from 30-person shows to 80 people, this motherfucker's
I let
shirts
my,
off.
I let my nuts hang. I was like, I'm the fucking king of this shit.
We're dicks in the van.
Okay.
But,
That's okay.
but at the same time, like, I see bands being dicks. Like,
And that's another thing.
that shit is very, very like open nowadays. You can access anything.
And you can feel it like social media. We kind of touched on that.
Yeah.
You can see the personalities. I looked at
Yeah.
your Twitter. You're fine.
And I don't
You make
want,
jokes. You don't
yeah,
seem like a dick.
I don't want to carry myself that way. Like I just don't. I don't like.
I think it hurts some bands.
I have
honestly.
negative opinions.
I can
don't.
tell you it does. Yes.
I don't like every single hardcore band that exists, but I've never tweeted about a hardcore band that I don't like.
Oh no, you
unless
gotta start
they
crushing them.
did something morally wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I saw Isaac popped up on my timeline because you're talking about For the Love of.
Oh really?
So I
Yeah.
respect the shit out of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Most very anticipated set for me at the fest.
Oh my God.
They're from New
Jesus
Jersey,
Christ.
right?
Yeah.
New Jersey band? Yeah. It's
All
like
right. So
that band.
you were gonna say something though. You were gonna say about being a dick.
I mean, it's just. I mean, it comes to me. That is never, and I'm not shitting on anybody, but that's never a good look.
Yeah, because I'm
No,
right.
right.
Because
Yo,
I'm right
it's
here.
okay to shit on people for shitting on people.
No,
okay?
yeah, it's okay. Just, it's
True,
to me,
it does open you up to the
me-
Yeah,
criticism.
yeah, you good. You good, homie.
I'm not saying that it's like I'm not trying to be a mom and say like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But what I am saying is like you it doesn't look good, especially if you're in a band that's like
Yeah.
touring all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, why are you just shitting on
And
everything?
it's also very counterproductive because you're on stage preaching equality and that like hardcore.
And you'd hope
Which you-
that
or
on
you
stage
should
doing that.
hardcore
Yeah.
at its base is supposed to be a place for the freaks, blah blah, and
Right.
then you're like, but you're not a fucking.
Well, so
hardcore
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
quick thing, because I want to tie this in because that's 100% fucking true. And when I hear people be like, "Hardcore's not a safe space," you're just interpreting safe space as a place where you're not going to get hit sometimes.
Yeah.
To me, it is a safe space for every weird person who can't fit in. And you got a bunch of people sitting in this room. Yo, I don't know if me and Pat could ever work normal people jobs in this way. I did, and it was like painful.
I
and
can
I was
assure
getting
you no.
I was getting shit because I couldn't hide how I feel. I couldn't, and I'm like, you motherfuckers, I'm doing my best. I just want to smash everything in this room, and I'm just chilling. But it is a safe space for the people who can't do that.
Yeah.
And every one of you who's like, oh, hardcore's not a violent place. It is a place of violence in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if
exactly.
you can't control it,
but you
should figure it out,
share
yeah.
that with
It's
other
shared.
people.
It's
Yeah.
a
And
community
so,
And I
experience.
I do think that like at the traditional sense of like what it's supposed to mean, like I do believe it's a safe place for the freaks. Like
Correct.
Knocked Loose has never been like a politically driven band, but we do like advocate for what's right, and we always will. But like I just don't. My biggest thing is like, if I ever say something on stage, it's because I can get off stage and debate it with you
Right.
for however long you want to talk about it.
it's very weird. It's different because, like, I think something that's important to me is I don't know if you guys have the same opinion, but there are many times when you're at a show or like a hardcore show. Let's say it's like it's a poppin' hardcore band right now. It's like, especially where it's a band where it's like, yo, I'm seeing this band and they're doing really well and all of their friends are there and like there's a feeling there that if you're a kid, you're looking at it and you're looking around and you're going, I don't know if it's just something I feel where it's just like, I feel like I'm not welcome here. Like, or I feel
It's an interesting point.
I feel like this is somebody else's thing and I'm watching it. Whereas I like pride myself on Knocked Loose. Say whatever you want about the people that like our band or like the variety of people or, how young or older kids are. I 100% don't think anyone could go to a Knocked Loose show and have be like, oh, I don't feel good here. Like I don't
feel inclusive.
Yeah, I don't feel
I think
included.
I think for me, because I've seen it and on both sides, that instinct that you pointed out is one of two primary ways people could take it.
Yeah.
My opinion is one, you look at it, you see the band who has all their friends going off for them, and you feel either on the outside of that and are like, oh, I'm not a part of this. Maybe this isn't for me. I'm not one of the cool kids. I'm not one of them, whatever them is.
Yeah.
Or two, oh, I really want to be a part of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And neither of those things I'm saying is a negative response
Exactly.
to that. But I am saying it's a weird thing, and it's something for me. Like I've gone through this. I came up. The dudes I got into hardcore with were mostly like punks, and I was like, I'm not gonna spike my hair, and I'm not gonna wear fucking bondage pants. I'm not gonna wear a
Whereas
leather
now
jacket,
it's-
and I wear a sweatshirt. And I was like the hardcore kid going to street punk shows. But those dudes didn't give a shit, and they accepted
Whereas
me.
now it's like, oh, dude, I'm not wearing those sneakers, and I don't have
Right.
that.
Or you don't have the right look. And like as we've talked about, Tom will go on this. There's groups of people, especially like on the more youth crew side of things, where the fashion it's like supersedes it so hard. It's like fuck you,
Right, like you can't go to the show because you don't have a fucking Schism shirt on or whatever.
And it's so
It's like, wow, that's a reprint.
and then,
Yeah, cool, man.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
So and that's
Where's the Miller tag?
and that's weird because another thing about Louisville, where we're from, that's another thing that does not exist.
Right.
It's the feeling, which I didn't experience until going to hardcore shows in other places, the feeling of like you walking in and some dude like eyeing you up and down.
It's a
and
weird
being like,
thing, isn't it?
It's like that's like so weird to me, and I didn't feel that until recently,
Yeah.
like in the past like couple years, because
That's
I had
funny.
just gone to shows in Louisville and
Yeah.
the surrounding areas,
Yeah.
and I had never felt like someone was
Eyed
like
up.
eyeing me down for like maybe liking a like heavier shit when it's a faster show,
Yeah.
or like or not wearing the uniform,
Right. Yep.
that's something that I was so alien to.
I feel like you have confirmed and validated my theory that you are. There's probably people that hate on your music, but aside from just
We're gonna talk
that,
about that in a minute.
There's for sure people that hate on the music.
but
No
aside from just that sort of preference, sort of hate, I think you just nailed it. That egalitarian, like everybody's welcome shit doesn't fly for everybody, and
It doesn't fly for a lot of
you're
people,
gonna get fucking
unfortunately.
hated on. Okay. So look, I know you don't need a pep talk from me, but like, as far as haters go, if they're hating on you because you're too nice, that's an okay problem to have.
And
Yeah,
I'm going to
exactly.
say this as somebody who has been inclusionary for a long time, and there might be somebody who feels like I wasn't. Well, fuck yourself. Come at me with complaints. You can be inclusionary, and you can be like, yo, our man Kevin Second said it. I don't care if you're into different bands. Like that's cool. It's cool to be that, and it's cool to embrace people who are different from you. And if you don't do that, man, you got to get out of here.
And I
that's
think,
important.
Yeah.
It's just important as a human being.
and that's not even something that's a feeling that even when I've gone to shows, that's never kept me from liking a band or enjoying a show. But what I do, the point that I was getting at was, I feel it's made me want to make Knock Loose shows feel the opposite way.
to go the other way from
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
That's
because
cool.
even if someone is using Knock Loose to get into something else, I want that start. If Knock Loose is the starting point, I want it to be the most open starting point.
Yeah.
That there
And
is.
and another thing that we try to get across is like hardcore might not be for everyone, because hardcore doesn't have to change for you. You might have to change for hardcore. Like there's
That's
a lot.
a cool way to put
there's
it.
a lot of things in 2017, 2018 that are happening on the internet, PC culture, everything. Like things are constantly changing. If you want to be a forward-thinking, productive part of the community, you have to realize how to not be an asshole. You know what I mean? And we very much try to take it as a learning experience, because I mean, back at home and like everywhere else, you have all different kinds of people that come to hardcore shows, and like unless you're happy with being a dick, like you want to learn about what's changing.
You need to keep up with it, because it's always changing. Too.
Agree.
One of the things that I think we always like kind of talk about, and like I think, in the last, like people have kind of copied Wes and copied Jake. I feel like, and maybe we're totally wrong, but I feel like a lot of the Midwest like kind of take your aesthetic. Like a lot of people from the Midwest, like hardcore kids, kind of look up to you guys and like kind of steal your style. Do you feel like that's a thing?
Are you talking about the heavy shit? Or
The way we
just
sound,
like
the way
you
we
guys
look.
dress.
The way we dress.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't dress original.
Yeah, I
You
don't
But I
know
mean,
what
do
I
you
mean?
think like people grow their hair out? People like, do you think it's changed? Like, do you
I
think
mean,
you guys
we-
have had any impact on
I
that?
get like
As an old guy from New York, I feel like it. Like
I
when I
get, like,
picture,
tagged in Instagram like once a week of someone with long hair that wears a hat, and they like, I look like Bryan. And it's like, I'm not the first one to do that.
Yeah.
You're not the first one to do that. Like that's my whole thing. Like I don't know, like it might happen, but like I think that like tight pants and big ass shirts like is like pretty standard for like the stuff that we
stuff nowadays.
no, that's true. Yeah, that makes
do.
sense.
Like none of our clothes fit.
Right.
We all have like long
but
hair. Like,
look, I agree with you. It's not like, yes, you're not wearing pink furs or anything. It's not,
Yeah.
but like at the same time,
I could make it work.
there's a
yeah.
there's so Code Orange having like the not tall tee is like a fucking archaic term, but like longer t-shirts, the whole look. There was people that, because I know them, hit me up and were like, they changed their look overnight, whatever. It's people being weird haters. And but that's no, I didn't notice either. They're from Pittsburgh. They look like Pittsburgh people to me. But like
There's also a difference between like every day what they're wearing and then them showing up to the Grammys. And
well, no, but that's a totally different story. But I guess what I'm saying is like, but so I became defensive because those are my people, and I was like, no, listen, they just look like fucking their age range from Pittsburgh, right? But I think that what you're touching on is that, and into what Tom said, it's interesting because their age range from Pittsburgh and my age range from New York are different things. And if I see kids start to dress like them, it does feel like, oh, it must be.
Okay.
Uh,
I understand
right,
what you're saying.
So I think that you're probably right. It's probably like
Yeah.
when Tom says, "Do kids dress like you?" But
Yes, but because of the age.
but,
okay.
But like,
You know what I mean.
but also we have seen. He's right. With AN, it was undeniable. Trash Talk, undeniable actually too.
Yeah.
And people don't recognize it, but Trash Talk had a moment where it was impacting.
Everybody wants to be Lee.
Yeah, exactly. But so it does happen. But I also think that it's like a chicken and egg sort of scenario.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So I wanted to, because we talked to music. All right. Couple things. One, can we talk about the barking song?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about the barking song.
I've watched that on YouTube 1,000 times from different shows because people lose their fucking minds.
Like live videos? Oh,
Tell us about the barking
this
song.
song's funny because it's gone through a lot. We were actually talking about the history yesterday because like that is now undeniably the biggest part of our set.
Yeah.
Fuck, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
The whole
Oh,
room.
yeah.
It's the
Have
gun.
you ever?
It's the guns up. The like, ugh,
The Entombed ripoff.
the Entombed rip off. It's that, except the dude you go arf, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Right
Murphy's
before a
Law,
mosh
but you know,
part.
I like
It's hard.
it is in the whole.
When
There's
that
some
song-
video. The
yeah.
whole room does it. It's
It's
when that
amazing.
song like before it was a thing, it was like he like wrote an idea for a song on his computer and it had that like chirping sound in the middle, and I was just like, we should just use that, like make it like a interlude was like the original thing. And then we were on our way to the first date of a tour and we were talking about how cool that chirping thing is, so we literally mouthed out what that song ended up being in the van to each other, our drummer going like da da ka da, da.
on van
Them
chairs.
doing guitars like dun dun and played it that night, and it's never changed.
Never changed. Stayed
and
the
it's
Yeah.
same.
now been in your set like every day.
And
since.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yes,
it-
and this
that-
was years ago.
Yeah,
too.
and that song, it's because it's gone through a bunch of like different phases where like when we first started playing it, that was when we were like DIY. That was the scariest part of our set.
that was a song. That people,
Anybody like it like quickly caught on that like as soon as you hear the chirping, you just like beat the hell out of everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it was crazy because like we never like antagonized that. It was like a joke that like one of our friends was like, this is where we kill everybody.
Right.
And then everybody started to catch on. So it's like anytime we played that song, that was like the war song. And then it slowly turned into the meme where like when we released the record, it became a meme, which like honestly did us a lot of good. even though like at the core, like the song is like, it's just like one lyric, but like it's like not a funny song.
What's the song? What's the song about?
dying.
County
It's
War.
about dying.
about
And
dying,
the,
okay.
the
Dying.
lyric, it's just one lyric, and it's I wrote a song about getting better. It's a feeling I can't remember.
Oh,
And like
man.
that's not happy. But it turned into like this big giant joke.
Yeah.
Like yeah. But like the memes did a lot. Like no
Big exposure,
Bad
sure,
press
yeah.
is
No, right.
bad press is still good press. Like,
Real quick on that, for anybody at home, I've known a couple people that have been turned into memes, and they like it ate at them, and like, yo, you can spin being memed.
You know that I like
Yeah.
Turtles Kid or what? Like,
The
fuck.
the Turtles kid is. I'm tight with the Turtles kid, but you can spin. Not everybody's built for this, but you can spin.
my
being a
best
meme.
friend is engaged to Marcella.
No shit.
That's cool.
Her name is
Shout
Sam. She's a
deal.
really good friend of mine too.
That's awesome.
She's sick.
I always thought that was fucked up.
Yeah.
Quite honest with you, like people were such dicks.
She honestly like, I'm sure at one point she got bummed about it.
I
but,
think
like,
that was a
Oh,
hard
yeah.
thing for a minute because
Yeah.
it was really hot on.
Shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, hardcore internet.
But that song, if you watch it live, it's one of the
But
crazier
yeah, like
reactions
kind of
you'll ever
it
see.
turned into like the meme, which like there are times when I'm like, man, like I tried to be serious and like, but at the same time, like then it turned into what it is now, which is like the crowd response is like insane every single time we play it. Like we don't have to announce that it's in the set.
People know.
Like as soon as it starts, everybody just knows
Every,
the deal.
once you play it, it's like, you know what? I saw a really cringy meme about this earlier, but once the song kicks in and everyone's like, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm
And I
cool.
stand
They
about
behind-
feel it. Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
stand behind the barks. Like, I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, do you regret doing that?" I'm like, "No, I like it originally was a joke. I was like, this is funny and it's like hard. I think it's hard.
Yeah, here's the thing.
sounding.
It would have been weird. Like, yo, like you could talk about a fucking thing. Like that's cool
Yeah.
that you do it. Like, whatever.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know it was really a bark. I thought it sounded like Rick to Life to me. I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was a bark.
Yeah,
I think it's literally.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
like
I mean, if the mosh part starts, and then Brian does the.
yeah.
That's a commentary
And when
more
we
on
did-
hardcore as a genre that you were like, oh, this is lyrics.
Yeah.
And your background, to be honest.
I assumed he was talking about unity in those. Bar, you know what I mean? Like, okay.
When we, another funny thing about that song, when we recorded it with Will Putney in New Jersey, and he said I've never recorded barks, so I don't really know what the standard is as far as like good or bad. He was like, so what I'm going to do is loop this part, and you're just gonna sit here and bark until I tell you to stop, which was like very like embarrassing for me because I'm just.
Oh, were you in the studio
quiet
watching?
room.
I think I chose to not be.
Oh,
in
you're
it
a good
for
friend.
that. Yeah.
Because I'm just like sitting in this room, all they can hear is me, and I'm just barking over and over and over.
I
And
let
then
him
he's
have
like,
his alone time.
yeah, and then he's like, okay, I think we got at least 2 good ones. Like we should.
And he
So
goes-
he just like found.
How
the-
long did you do with the barking? A
I would
minute?
say probably like 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh my God, I
Yeah,
feel
just-
for you.
Yeah, like
God
a while,
bless.
Yeah.
We need to get Will on the horn and find out which bars he's like. Oh, he hit a good. He got a good streak at about a minute 45 to
Yeah.
2:20, but I let him keep going because I want to
Well, no,
make
it's
sure.
weird. That was our first time at like an actual studio, and like
That's a dude you should get on the fucking show.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Recording,
So
like,
that'd be cool.
when we used to record everything else at Isaac's. Isaac has a little studio and he records like Louisville bands and stuff. And
Yeah, we didn't even believe all these folklore of how much you guys do. You really are in some like ICP level shit. You just do it all.
That's how I relate myself all the time. Yeah, it's all. It always goes back to ICP.
but I would just like when it came to vocals, it'd be like, all right, 1 take, press record. It sounds like
Yeah, you
shit.
go.
Let's put it out. But like with Will, it was like, all right, we want this to sound good.
Yeah.
And he was like, he kept like stopping me. Like I would do like a couple words and he'd stop me, and I would be like, okay, and he'd be like, we'll punch you back in. And I was like, all right. And then like eventually I was like, you gotta let me go. I was like, for this part, just let me go until you hear me run out of breath, because that's what I'm used to. And he was like, okay. And he was like, wow, you sound better the more tired you are.
Yeah, because you got the strain in your
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I've
like-
always been an arguer
so
for
when
that.
he
I think
would-
it's a good thing.
So to record, he would press record further back, and I would literally mosh in the room, and I would scream at the top of my lungs, no words. I would just be like, ah! And then I would run to the mic and then do the vocal part, and he'd be like, yeah, that's weird. That sounds better than like, yeah. So
No,
like,
I think
how
that's
I-
I think it's a hot take, but I'm with it. I like
Yeah.
that.
Which is funny because I feel like when recording hardcore vocalists, that the thing that happens the most, especially with me recording hardcore vocals a lot, is that they're always cracking
Yeah,
at
right,
the beginning.
right,
It's
yeah.
always like,
Well, like you see, it's just like interesting to find out like how other people work
Yeah.
in the studio, because like recording vocals is my least favorite part about being in a band, because it's like you go on tour and everybody's like, oh, he's a singer, he doesn't have to load anything, and then like you play and they're like, oh, you didn't have to play anything, like you're the dumbest one, and then you go into the studio and you're like, oh, this is my only fucking job and I'm blowing it. Like,
Yeah, you're the SpongeBob meme where he's a little tired and leaning like.
yeah, where you like you
relevancy.
I do
like it.
I do like I'll start a day of recording, I'll say like one word and my voice won't be where I want it to be, and I'll be like, well, I hate myself until tomorrow. Like, everybody leave me alone.
Friends are in another room listening.
Yeah.
To you work it out.
Yeah,
which is the
and
worst
they're
part.
like,
yeah.
you're fine. I'm like, no, it's
Like
not.
you're all sitting on the couch laughing at me while I'm in this weird
Yeah,
box.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go further than that. When I record with self-defense, I know things are going bad when I see them leave the couch. When everybody walks out of the room, I'm like, oh,
A significant level of concern. Like, all right,
that was not a good.
you're going through some shit.
All right. What
I had two more
Okay.
two more questions, not heavy, but you guys are a hot topic. Is there anything that you think is totally misunderstood about you? Just one, like anything that you think is like, no, that's not who I am. That's not who we are.
I don't know.
No,
Don't
don't care.
We literally try
Ask
to,
us.
like, we try, yeah, you can ask us. 'cause,
Ask
like,
us.
we
Come
tr-
up to us.
One thing is, like, me and him especially are very bad about searching our name, so we see everything. You know what I mean?
No, don't do
Don't.
that.
Yeah.
No. I'm not gonna say don't do that. I think so many people do that. Admit that shit and be okay with it.
I think
It's like
it's
people not
important to-
being like open about being on antidepressants. If you want antidepressants, I was just
I
talking to a
think
couple
it's
dudes,
important to
fucking
do
talk
that
about it,
because
yeah.
then when we play their city and they come up and shake my hand and say good set, I'm like, you're a liar.
I saw you on Twitter.
You
were
know what I
fucking
mean?
with me.
Yeah, like,
I think
but at the same time, like, I think it's kind of like made it to where like it helps us not care. You know what I mean? If it only happened like
You think you've been desensitized to all the hate?
yeah, like
yes.
I was really shocked. There's a dude whose name I won't say in the air, but like who has been in a band for a long time that's rather successful, who is really affected by things that people say
no, that's
about
real.
his band.
I will say the only thing that has ever bummed me out, and like I know that I'm stupid for letting it bum me out, but on Lamb Goat, people will comment anonymously van flip. And it's like they're wishing your van to flip.
Oh, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
No, listen, I self-defense is actually printing shirts because we need money right now.
Yes.
We
This
can't.
is a fucking ad, so thanks,
that-
Pat.
That's just got a van on it that says we can't flip our van until we can afford it. You know what I mean? So like buy a shirt, because I agree that's very morbid, and for people sitting at home that have never toured to be like, I hope your van flips. Yo, you don't know what it's like to get your arm ripped off, you fucking asshole.
Yo, you don't know what it's like to drive in a van filled with dudes in bad weather, or you're going a little too fast
After
and the
you're
dude's
playing a
driving in a bad
show.
way. Yo,
Yeah.
that's some scary shit. I mean, anyone who slept in a van on an overnight drive and dude hits a weird pothole or something,
And you shoot up.
Yeah, everyone is scared to death, and it's like a group shock. Like,
I feel like
Brakes giving out. Dude. Crazy.
This is why I actually won't do overnight drives in any capacity. We like
including the podcast.
all my bands stop driving at 2 a.m. No, I don't give a fuck if we're at a rest stop, because you're risking my life, and that's fucking weird. I won't do it. You know, what I
You've
mean?
grown. That's a good thing. I'm
we
glad.
still
hate it.
we
I
still
hate it.
sleep in the van. Like we're not like a 5 hotel rooms a night band. Like
That means you're smart with money.
we try to be very cheap. And like we
Yeah,
do
you
a
said you
lot
wouldn't
of our
buy an aux
drives-
cord. We established that really early.
And we try to do all of our drives like overnight, but it's very like I feel like the more I tour, the more I get scared about that stuff. The more I find myself being like, it's so.
No, it's Russian roulette, dude.
it's
You're
too
just on the road for that
Because
long.
at first you're so excited to be on tour that you just fucking go, and then when you tour like as much as we have toured, and it's very much like a full-time job for us, it's like any day, like and like you do Europe, and like you share a bus, and it's like you and like 28 people on a bus with a driver that doesn't speak your language, and you're just in a little black coffin. You can't see where you're going or how fast you're going.
I actually I like that though.
I don't because like you hit a bump and you're like, are we now off a cliff or are we still on the road? Like I have like no
there's a
clue.
fear
Like
on that.
if you're in a van and you hear somebody say, oh shit, we're going off the road, you can brace yourself. If you're in a bus and the guy's in his little cockpit and he says like, oh fuck, like you have no
Oh, fuck.
you have no clue and you're just screwed. And like I will like be the first to like call people out about that, like in our van, like get off your fucking phone. When we were in Europe, we had like a driver for the UK that sucked really, really bad. We were over there with like Comeback Kid, Every Time I Die, and Higher Power. We were all sharing a bus. We had a driver that like sucked really bad, and like me and our guitar player Cole were like banging on the cockpit, and we're like, Mario, slow the fuck down! Like, like you're driving a giant bus with a trailer. Like I don't know. It's scary, and like now that we're to the point where like we fly to like overseas tours, that's a like whole nother fear. Like
The original question was, let me reiterate because I want to make sure. Is there anything that's misinterpreted about?
Yes.
yeah, do you want to ask?
Yeah, if you want to ask.
I don't know.
Is there anything that
One thing that's really funny, and again, I don't like naming names, so I'm not going to, and I don't want to like delve into it. But it's really funny to see or know of people that talk shit or whatever, or
Yeah,
did
sure,
that, you know,
sure.
whatever. Which I
Threw
don't,
some shade on
what
you.
I don't care about, which I don't care about at all, because anyone has the right to shit talk.
Somebody can shit talk, but you can also feel a
Yeah,
why.
yeah,
so,
exactly. It's fine. But to see it like that dude plays in a band like that I really like, and then that band plays at Spinelli's or whatever, and then I show up and I like mosh the band or whatever, and then they'll talk to whoever and they'll be like, hey, where can we stay tonight in Louisville? And then they'll direct them to my house, and then they'll be like, oh, that's. What it'll be like, oh, like you should stay at Isaac's house. It's like, oh yeah, Isaac, he plays in Knock Loose and stuff, and they're like, oh. And then and then they'll like stay at my house, and like there's times where it's been like, oh, so you like you like hardcore and stuff.
Well, there's right. Like I wasn't even thinking of it. But
It's
yeah,
like
that's right.
it's like oh, so so you like moshing and like and cool shoes and just like us.
You're not like you just don't listen to a Muir. And
Yeah,
fucking-
Yeah.
wait, you
Really?
you like you,
For the record, we do listen to you.
yeah. I've listened to Amir before.
It's all good.
Totally in your age range.
Yeah, yeah,
but I
exactly.
think people would go like,
But
you only listen to
Yeah.
a Muir and
It's like
I don't even know what.
Acacia Strain,
Yeah.
Ghost Inside. I don't
Those
know.
are the hard
Yeah.
ones.
exactly, but it's like oh, so you like more than just like Whitechapel? And I'll be like, yeah, I mean you saw it, man. and
Yeah,
not,
I
half
like
the
your
time-
band.
not
Your
that-
band.
And half the time, these guys are like, "You like hardcore?" And it's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "But you also like Ymir?" And it's like, "Don't you?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Well, yeah, but like,
but like it's different.
and I think if people your age can just be on, don't be on fucking Front Street about it. Be like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I was into this. I'm somebody who'll tell you first thing. Don't ever be ashamed of the music you used to
Oh
listen
yeah,
to.
Yeah.
I've never.
I talked
Oh.
when I was a teenager. I had friends who only listened to just hardcore, and a couple dudes who were a little younger. I'm like, yo, man, I still fuck with Pearl Jam heavy.
Yeah.
Because I can't just listen. I love hardcore. I love it with all my heart, and here I am, fucking way too late in life, loving hardcore. But like, if you don't, you're gonna burn out, and you're gonna be that dude who's on the next fucking indie rock train when you're 19 and a half.
Or
So,
you're gonna be a
and-
barista with a Jane Doe tattoo.
Exactly. And like
with a Jane Doe.
And
And
hardcore
then,
isn't good enough for you anymore.
And then another thing was really funny is that goes even farther for me because they won't know who I am, and then they'll play with another band. Like they'll be like, "Oh, he's in Knock Loose. Oh, and also he wrote the Inclination," and people would be like, "Wait, he did the Inclination stuff?" They'll be like, "Oh, so he's like
He's a real
They're
hardcore.
blown
dude.
he's
away,
like
yeah.
he's like a hardcore kid," and I'll be like, "Yeah, man." Like,
So you do feel a way about that, and I think it's good that you do. Like, it's not like you shouldn't. That's a fucking. You're a nice
not,
kid.
It's
I
not
just
that
met you.
it's
You're a
like,
nice
it's
dude.
not that it's not that it's like, oh man, I'm insulted, but I'm saying it's funny to
Yeah,
see that.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
like it's funny to see it happen all the time.
In
and
your
then
face,
and then they'll be like, "Oh," and I'll be like, "Yeah."
That's me.
Here
I
am.
think you raised a really compelling point that to like a Muir is like that's worse than My Chemical Romance. To me, that's like
Yeah, to me, I'm like, I'm not questioning you guys' taste, but I'm like, oh.
yeah.
and I completely understand.
No, but
there should be no shade for you guys.
But what I'm saying is that what's interesting is not that you are the kids that grew up on a mirror and that the other kids are not. It's that you are the kids that are copying to it and the other
Yeah.
kids are not.
I'm trying to
yeah.
run from it.
And I think, but
I don't see the
And
point.
a lot of dudes I know don't run from it, and I'm like with it. I'm like, good, don't.
I don't
no,
see
see,
the point.
I feel like when I was-
I'd run from that one.
When
I
I
don't
was
see the point.
You say that, but then that causes these issues of
But when I
post-dog
was-
status for you. So you create your own bullshit that you hate. Get out of here,
But
man.
I was never
Oh,
lame,
man,
so it's
there's
hard for
beef
me.
going
no,
on
I
right
love
now.
when I was younger, getting into heavier music was like there wasn't such a divide.
No.
You had like Throwdown toured with Under Oath, and like you had like I had Headbangers Ball, which like played hardcore and it played metal.
Jamie Josta era,
and like
right?
Jamie Josta era, yeah. But I had dial-up internet, so it took a week and a half to download an album. But I would watch Headbangers Ball with a notebook and like write like this band's cool, and
Send us
like,
pictures of that notebook. That's probably funny. If you still have it, I bet that's cool shit.
I wish I could find it. I don't even know where to begin, but I don't know. Like there wasn't such a strong divide. Everything like he was the same way when we got into heavy music. It was just hardcore because it was heavy. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
thought
Because it wasn't parsed out in the way.
I
Yeah.
thought it was metal. When I thought everything was because I grew up a metal guy.
Yeah.
And because my dad was a metal guy.
Yeah.
So like my first experience with like the old bands, like I've been listening to like Agnostic Front and Hatebreed and like Madball for a while, but I found them the Nuclear Blast way.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it was like live videos of them playing Wacken Festival.
Yeah.
And I was like, metal.
Yeah.
And then I found out that I was like, oh wait, it's a different
It's
thing.
different.
Yeah.
And
It's like,
then that's how I found
Okay,
it. That's
so
how I
so
found
Same, I found-
sorry, go on.
I was just gonna add to that. Like I found Hatebreed through Headbangers Ball, and you're like, oh yeah, like Defeatist, and then you're like, wait, they wrote Satisfaction, like
Yeah.
a perfect
Exactly.
hardcore record.
So
Oh, is he the four song
Come
guy?
on,
I'm the
No,
four
he
song
is
guy.
He's
Four
the four
song guy.
song. No, he's no.
Get
you like
out.
yeah. No, and I'm.
There's
oh yeah,
not-
he said 4 songs, and I said no.
This is pretty much how the podcast started.
There's not one thing I would change about Satisfaction.
Yeah, and me neither. Except I'd stop listening to it after X amount of songs. So, okay. So if we're ready to wrap,
I had one more because I wanted to hit these guys.
Okay, because what I want to say is like to the listeners that are like the kind of their haters. You know what I mean? And maybe these aren't posers. These are just guys from a small town. That's what I'm picking up.
No, in a different spot, and whose experience, quite honestly, mirrors a lot, and maybe mirrors
that's why
older
people
hardcore
like it.
dudes than yours.
No, that's what I'm telling you. That's why the Midwest fucks
That's
with
right,
this, because
I
this
know.
is a Midwest experience that is alien to me, but like
It's not alien to me.
Very familiar.
It's the same to me. It's the same to me, and it's the same to a lot of the people I know. So, what are some hardcore bands, fucking whatever you want to throw out there that you're into today, or that you're into, and you're like, yo, you know what? If you're a kid who likes Knock Loose, check this stuff. We already got Miracle Drug out there.
I mean, Terror, obviously.
Terror out
That's
there.
why we
okay,
have
so
them
your
on
band.
tour.
Are you saying stuff in the same vein, or
No,
are you saying...
Just like, yo, if you like us, here's some things that we think you should check out.
basically our podcast, we get hit every week from old and young people saying like, yo, I checked out this because of the podcast.
Yeah.
So like, it's at this point we're just giving you free platform to just
To
pump
shout
anything.
out.
you think
Anything
is good.
because it's cool. We have gotten positive feedback.
Well, I'm
that
sure a
people are
lot
like,
of the
this is
people that
something
listen to
check
this
out.
like know Terror, but like that was very much the one of like a very big reason why we wanted to be able to bring them on this tour, which I know got like a lot of flack, but like having them on this tour like has like exposed them to a lot of people. I mean, Scott
Great.
Vogel every single night asks like, raise your hand if it's your first time seeing Terror.
it's-
And like Terror was like a very, very early hardcore band for me because they
toured everywhere.
Yeah, and they like branched out and did mixed genre tours. Like,
Ask Scott Vogel about Despair playing fucking Crazy Fest.
okay,
Oh boy.
Ask him.
what year?
Ask him about that. They played it more than
99,
once.
yeah.
And ask him about Buried Alive's first show, which was at Crazy
Crazy
Fest.
Fest is a
Yeah.
whole other...
Ask him
a
about
whole
that
other
because
topic.
people
Hey,
who were
last-
there,
conversation.
people who were there were like, oh, that went from being Scott from Despair to being that's Scott Vogel from Buried Alive.
So different.
Because Buried Alive's reaction at Crazy Fest was wild. So ask him. I bet he's got cool stories.
And I would say one for me is Sanction. They just got signed to Pure Noise Records. That they're a band from Long Island. I fully back that band. I love what they're doing. It's very like MySpace deathcore to me.
That's perfectly accurate.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but that's like I love that.
You
shit.
ask them about it, and they'll have a different opinion.
Yeah,
but
that's
fine.
but you
Yeah.
ask me.
But that's
about
why
it,
you guys on the show. So
Yeah, because
yeah.
they're suffering or something, and you'll be like, no.
I'm gonna go ahead and endorse. They're on our tour. I'm gonna go ahead and say because as a dude who's listened to the podcast a bunch, I haven't heard You're the Knife on it yet.
we shout him out a little bit.
Everyone should be listening to that band.
Yeah.
To me, it's like
They have a new record coming out soon.
they have a new record coming out soon, and it is, to me, it is a blend of scary kickback and throwdown, early throwdown.
I think
I
they'd
think
be
it's-
really pleased with that description.
I think
And
it's cool because like
they-
a lot
they
of
would.
people are doing that like old like metallic sound or like metalcore sound like the Martyr AD and the Disembodied, and Year of the Knife is doing that but Euro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the
And I've
art-
heard we got feedback from some people from Delaware who are like, yeah, they turned me on to Archangel and all
Yeah.
this like Euro
it's
stuff. Yeah.
dude, it's crazy how in that state and
Yeah.
that area, like the Delaware kids,
Yeah,
that
love
is
it.
that is their thing. It's so weird that it's like, oh yeah, Delaware is like the Euro. You know, they love the Euro stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like it's I don't know. And
Okay,
they
so-
do it and they like replicate it and it's amazing.
And we've shouted it out. The new singers made a huge difference for that band. No diss to old. Well, no, kind of. You were fine.
Look, not
But
every,
new singer's great.
No,
Tyler's a
He-
very
he-
good presence.
He's a presence.
His energy level's
He's
wild.
known by everyone. He's an amazing singer.
And on
Cool
this
artist. Get
new-
him to do a design for you guys.
Yeah,
He
he did
did.
one for this tour.
Did he?
We did a tour shirt,
yeah, we just had a tour
um,
shirt.
but he like, I think that a lot
Shout
of
out
people
to
will
him.
know it when the new record comes out as well. That like he is very much opening himself for people that are like interested in this band. Like he's
Yeah.
being very vulnerable within his lyric writing process, and I like try my hardest not to take that for granted, because if an artist is gonna be like that honest, I just find like a lot of sincerity in it, and he's doing a great job at it. Like I'm excited for people to hear their new record because of that. Like he's going to be a lot more of a personality for that band than their first singer.
Absolutely. So you've both big upped one tour band. give us your non-tour band you're gonna big up.
Like a new one? Or?
Whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You can say, yo, check out this record, whatever.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to say anyone, especially I'm going to think of something that I've like been, not like ripping off. Well, yes, ripping
It's
off.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay.
I tried denying it for a second
It's okay.
in my head, and then I came back to it.
Thank you for the honesty.
This is a band that is like name dropped a lot, but I feel like the amount of people that actually listen to it, if you listen to Knock Loose, please, and you like the low, the dissonant chord, the creepy shit, please listen to Disembodied.
Okay.
Please listen to it.
They got a lot of talk.
Yeah.
There we go.
Please listen to it.
No, I back that. I mean, I think a lot of, I like them more than Martyr.
They're more popular right now than they've ever been, and it's not even
We
close.
just played with the singer's other band.
What is it?
in
New
Missouri.
band. It's called
It's
Paralysis.
called Paralysis.
Okay,
And
so you're
it's
going
in
to
that-
shout them out.
And it's
Else.
in that vein as well.
Oh wait.
It's like later Disembodied.
It's later Disembodied, but it was so cool to see him do his thing, especially because like when Disembodied did the reunion, This Is Hardcore last year, and it was a huge deal, and it was like it was like the first This Is Hardcore video that came out.
Sure.
That Hey
Yeah,
Five
yeah,
Six,
yeah.
and it did the whole thing. It hurt me when that
'Cause you didn't- you
because
weren't
I was
there.
on
we were on
Warped
Warped
Tour.
Tour,
And-
so we
and-
couldn't be there, and
and-
we were watching like a live stream in the
and that
parking lot of
band
Warped Tour.
and that band was like coming from. So when here's another funny thing, when I was like getting into heavy music, like it was like a lot of it was like new metal shit, like Korn and stuff like
Yeah,
creepy low tune stuff.
Yeah.
And so Disembodied, when I found it, it was like, oh dude, it's like low and creepy, but it's like a hardcore band, so it's super moshy. And so like the lyrics of that band, like all of that was like meant a lot to me. So when they did the reunion, I was crying to myself. I was like,
That's
dude,
that's an
so
interesting. What you said about them is something we've talked about Disembodied a pretty good amount on this show. But is their appeal the fact that they do have those elements of like new metal and like I don't know, is Slipknot considered new metal? I don't
yes,
know.
and
Yeah,
and
right.
definitively this
Sure.
is why this band.
And
is
it's
a
like the
thing.
hardcore. They have a lot of the hardcore things on top of that appeals, and like it makes sense that they appeal so hard.
It's just also weird to me because I feel like a lot of people own the shirts
Yeah.
and a lot of people like say the name, but I don't feel like enough people actually listen to the records.
That's always the problem with stuff like that.
and so
It's hard to accept.
so it's like if people like, I swear to God, if people like listen to it's like it's a perfect band for me.
Okay.
So
that's a fucking great sponsorship or endorsement.
Yeah.
All right, so
You want to? Let's give Isaac some time to talk about his other bands. And
Oh.
Brian, you doing anything?
we
else or
meant
just,
yeah.
I'm not
or
right now.
just
No.
Just
Knocked Loose.
Just the band that George
yeah,
done
whatever,
once a year.
yeah.
What? So you've mentioned Inclination.
yeah.
You mentioned Nine Eyes to
Nine
us
Eyes.
earlier.
Nine Eyes.
We got a lot of
Wicked
shouts
Garden.
for that. Wicked Garden.
Yeah.
Which is a sick Stone Temple Pilots song.
Yes, thank you. We've been giving a lot of Stone Temple
These
Pilots
are
love.
some really specific references. Nine Eyes and
Yeah.
Wicked.
Louisville loves references.
Yeah, I love it.
Louisville-
All right,
Wow.
any other music projects that you're currently involved in?
Not right now.
Okay,
But
that's it. Seems
in the
like you
future.
got enough on your plate.
But Louisville has Louisville is a bunch of bands, man. That go off.
And so
There's always going on.
you're saying, listen to Year Into the Knife,
Yeah.
listen to Disembodied,
Yeah.
play Louisville.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you want to listen to Louisville bands, which you should because they're great, listen to Miracle Drug. Listen to, listen
Inclination.
To Inclination. Listen, I'm gonna
He'll
plug.
say it
I'm
for
gonna
you.
go ahead and plug myself.
So, but you're saying also if you come to Louisville, you'll get to see it and you'll go listen to those because you saw it.
yeah, exactly. Be cool.
Do you want to wait for Brian to come back before we say?
Yeah, we'll kill time for 10 seconds before we say goodbye.
What's a
because
hardcore
somebody's in the
record?
bathroom.
Let's do quick hits. I'll do rapid fire. This is gonna be quick, so you gotta get right to it. What's a hardcore record that people would be surprised that you love? Quick.
Oh, dude, that's so weird. I love everything. That's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
fucking weird.
Come on.
I get from like a person, like an outside
So
perspective.
yeah, an outsider, somebody who don't know you. What's an '80s
I
hardcore
like-
record you love?
Okay, I'm just gonna. I like Good Cling Fun.
No
Whoa,
shit.
shit. Okay.
I like Good
All
Cling
right,
Fun.
shit. We've been told to
See
edit.
that one
We've been told to edit that out. All right. If you had to live anywhere in the U.S. other than Louisville, you would live in.
San Diego.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the
That's
answer.
correct.
San
answer.
Diego.
What is the longest you've driven the van?
I don't drive. They don't let me drive. I'm too young.
You're too young.
Yeah. Well, they don't. They view when I started hanging out with him, I was like 13.
Okay,
And
so
in
you were the
his
kid.
mind, I'm still 13. So
How
they
old are
don't
you
let
now?
me- I'm 20.
Oh, good God. You're the youngest person on the show.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What is your favorite thing to eat when you are in Chicago?
Mac and cheese because that's what it is all of the time.
Okay, great. What is the worst food you've ever eaten in your life?
It was really shitty Asian food from an airport once. It was awful.
Trick question, Skyline Chili.
There you go. I don't even give that the time of day.
Good
so
job. All right. If you were a vegetable, what vegetable would you be and
I
why?
would kill myself because I hate vegetables.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay, we'll go with that.
We got. I'm taking you to Whole Food now. All right.
Thank you.
No.
We're getting wrapped.
Let's. Yeah, we've been going like 2.5 hours. So, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you to members of Knocked Loose for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We got some more content coming. If you hear this on iTunes, go give it a positive rating. That helps us. And share it with a friend.
Yeah, share with your friends. The socials, Twitter at Axe to Grind Cast. Emails, which we love. You can go long form there if you want. At Axe to Grind Podcast at gmail.com. And